on YouTube and Twitch when it works. And we have got a great guest with us today. He joins us here on our big broadcast. And we had a really, really interesting discussion the last time we had Reverend Hutchins with us on our program. And but we are back live with our good friend Reverend Hutchins here on our program. And after we had you on the a couple weeks ago, I just had to have you back and had to have a real discussion with you. The discussion we had, it kind of went gaga. Gilbert Bernstein, he got interesting views on some interesting things. However, I will have to say, probably
and I hope
things, which is going to lead me into my first point here with you, is I have been discussing on this show for a heck of a long time the fact that the medical system in this court comes to the pharmaceutical industry and the insurance industry, just for whatever reason or another, we allow hypocrisy somehow.
yes.
And so as for the last been, oh my God, we do a complete change after he talked to you, or if it because things that I've observed affects them, all of a sudden all this change. He had went in, I met a cancer place to buy these information, and he shows up and they tell him it's $600. And he's like, I don't have that much. My friend didn't send me with that much. And recommended him get on the whole thing about how prioritizing people. Oh my God, I'm sitting on insane. And I'm like, well, months ago, all of a sudden we are going to be going into communist rule. But now, if it affects them, all of a sudden we have a person on the street.
To conservative on the right. It's the right. It doesn't matter, and it's not pro-democracy unless it affects them. And we find something on the far left that unless it directly out in the progressive community, issues are back is we're into name calling, if you will. So if you refer to it as Medicare for all, then it almost gives the conservative and the concept of their acts to their economic standing. As the conservative or far right side, what we have to try to do, people like you and I, is figure out how to have these conversations without throwing out these buzzwords that cause people to go to their individual corners, is what a lot of Americans are saying. The fact of the matter is, we have allowed so-called health literacy theorists. But here's what I know from the medical industry, the pharmaceutical companies, the health in such a short time frame for cancer, and AIDS and HIV, and everything that
else I've been trying out, which was part of my issue with the was that everything on hold. So then we and I'm like, okay, we couldn't have done that with cancer. We couldn't have done that with AIDS.
Absolutely.
Now, I see Rush Limbaugh got cancer. I thought if anybody was going to beat cancer, it was going to be Rush Limbaugh. He's got more money than God. And I thought, okay, he's just going to go, people pharmaceutical industry knows, or he's going to go else. All of a sudden, he's going to beat it. But then when he didn't, I'm like, and he started a traditional route cancer. I'm like, because, like, for instance, you aren't enough to run HIV. Yeah. Everybody's like, oh my God, man. I think part of the reason why he's still with us is because out of his money and he can get his hands on and it's back.
The problem with people who have died with cancer, but it's not an institution, a seed or healthy to realize or to uncover that there is, in fact, possibility with regard to quote unquote uncurable. That's to undermine the health risk, at least in my estimation, not to allow the fall of their entire base. I think what we do is really put in our body politic. To really the focus on the wealth. If Elon Musk, that may be the only some independent, non-traditional. I think you're by these pharmaceutical and healthcare companies.
Well, one thing I discussed you, which was part of the reason we had one time, we never got into the shenanigans. Whenever someone like you, I've been always trying to figure out is the CRT thing, because from what I can tell, so wrong about.
Well, here's the challenge. CRT and some other issues is they always emerge right prior to an election.
Yes.
They're utilized to drive wedges between folks. They're utilized to separate folks one from another, to distract from the real subject matters, which are the things that are on the hearts and minds of the majority of the American people.
Yes.
Certainly, CRT is a distraction. That there are some real and substantive issues that we have to deal with that emerge and emanate from slavery and Jim Crow and generations of legal oppression and racial inequity and all these other things. But when you start giving them labels and start inflaming people's perspectives around these things, it gives political fodder for one side of the political spectrum or the other, maybe and the other. So it's it's really politically motivated. And I think what we have to try to do, people like you and I, particularly you, who has a huge megaphone and microphone, is to really talk about the issues that are impacting people, because the power to change these things lies in the hands of the American people. We have to convince enough people on the far right and the far left that no matter what our differences are, there's more that unites us together than there is that divides us. And if we focus on the things that we agree about, then we can defeat our common enemy, our common adversary, and that is these big corporations that place profits over people.
Yes, and this is something that I have started to notice, and I don't know if a lot of this... I just have a lot of hope, and a lot of times I think that hope is a lot of times it gets dashed. But for instance, there was one day I was watching the Young Turks, and they were talking about how the government has been captured by multinational corporations. And we've got to figure out a way, to rid this and get this back going. And then I turn on Alex Jones, and he has a commercial where he's hawking supplements and all of his stuff. But at the beginning of the ad, he goes, "Democracy has been captured by multinational corporations." And I'm like, if we could just get these two sides together,
yes,
there would be so much things that we can do. Because even one of the things that Trump ran on, which part of the reason he ran on some of the different things is because they were popular. But one of the things that I have noticed with like the David Dukes and all these folks, they have crazy things they believe, like the Holocaust wasn't real and the fake moon landing, all this stuff. But they also look at the thing of the pharmaceutical industry has taken over healthcare, multinational corporations have captured democracy, and I'm like, okay, if the crazy conservatives and the Alex Joneses agree with the Young Turks and people like that, I'm like, we agree on a lot more than we disagree on. And I just wish we could figure out a way, Reverend, to get everybody together.
Well, that's what I call bridge building. And that's the work that we do here with our organization, Movement Forward. And that's the movement that I am seeking to build across this country. It's what I call bridge building. There are a couple of things that have to happen if you're going to build bridges. One, you can't throw rocks or physical rocks or verbal rocks at one another. You can't be accusatory and blamatory. You have to focus not on the things that divide us, but the things that unite us. And I think if you're talking to Alex Jones or the Young Turks, one thing that unites us and everyone in between is that healthcare should be a right.
Yes.
Healthcare should be accessible to everyone, and the pharmaceutical and drug companies have invaded our politics. I think everybody agrees that crime and violence is out of control, that we need better equipped, better trained better prepared law enforcement. So
Yes.
this idea of building bridges transcends social issues. It transcends social sectors. The challenge that we have is that major corporations, foundations, and politicians that should be focused on building bridges have somehow decided we're going to pick one side or another side,
Yes.
and we're going to stay in our individual corners. And here's the conclusion that I've come to. As long as you've got some folks in one corner yelling, "Our lives matter," a different group of people in a different corner yelling, "Our lives matter," we'll continue to yell at each other until we come to tables of sisterhood and brotherhood across our differences. We'll never see the kinds of solutions that folks on all sides of these issues want. So what we're focused on with our work and what I'm committed to across this country is in every sector, in healthcare, in the political sector, in law enforcement, in civil rights, and everything in between, causing folks to sit together and reason together. And as a minister, that's what I believe. I believe that if we can get folks to sit together and, as the Bible says, reason together,
Yes.
we will see that no matter where we come from, we all want the same basic things out of life, and we can get there. That is what the perfection of our democracy looks like. But we can't do it if we're reduced to yelling and screaming at one another.
Yes, I completely agree. We have got a great guest with us today. He is fantastic. Reverend Hutchins is with us today. Check out movementforward.org. That's movementforward.org. You can get all the information over there on this incredible, incredible organization. And Reverend, something else that I want to get your take on, which you are going to have an expert way of laying this out, much like you've laid out all these other things. But one of the big things right now that everybody is gaga about is this Supreme Court situation with Roe versus Wade. And then we have, this weird Texas abortion law and some of these other abortion laws. The thing I've always been trying to figure out when it comes to the abortion situation is I understand, for instance, I think the whole abortion thing is crazy. And I think that only in certain cases should that be allowed to take place. But the thing that I don't understand about the Republicans is that they want to outlaw abortion. They want to get rid of all this. But when the kids get here, they
Yes.
don't want to provide any social services.
Right.
And all these kids get lost in the system. And then you have a whole bunch of adults that grow up that are broken. And they go out and commit crimes, or they go out and they do things, and they lock them up in jails and prisons and mental institutions. And I'm like, maybe we should have just done the abortion thing to begin with, and we could have avoided all this mess.
So it's interesting. I had a conversation with a prominent Republican not long ago, and I won't mention his
that's
name,
fine.
but he's
Yeah,
one of the
you're
most
good.
well-known Republicans in the country. And I said to him, I sit in a unique place. As a minister and as a believer, I am pro-life. But as a
Yes.
humanitarian, I'm also pro-choice.
Yes.
And there's not a line of separation between those two things. I live in my faith, but I live under the law.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that the government has the right to tell a woman what she can and cannot do with her body.
Yes.
Just like I don't believe the government has the right to tell me what I can and cannot do with my body. Reproductive rights should be a matter of individual choice and prerogative and individual conscience. But I
Yes.
think what's curious to me is most of the Republicans that you and I talk to on a regular basis hold themselves out to be pro-life when it comes to abortion, but pro-death when it comes to the death penalty.
Yes.
And you can't have it both ways, at least not and operate with integrity. I will march with pro-life folks if they'll march with me in an anti-death penalty situation. Because if life is life, then you can't hold that we should outlaw abortion and not outlaw the death penalty. The fact of the matter is, we should err on the side of individual rights and individual liberties, and that's what makes the conversation around this Texas thing so tragic. Is because it's a flawed conversation that's based on a faulty premise, and that premise is that the government has the right to tell you what you can and cannot do with your body, but does not have the responsibility to support these children once they get here.
Yeah. I just find it so strange because, like, for instance, this is kind of a weird story that I tell every once in a while. Years and years ago, my mother was managing a convenience store, and there was this woman that had come in. She was traveling. She had a couple kids with her, and she was gassing up the car and doing all the stuff that they were doing. And there was this one little boy, and that kid had to be 5, 6 years old. He's walking around. Well, he's checking the place out. He's casing the place. He's looking to where all the security cameras are. He's, looking to where he can be, where he's not going to get caught. And then at one point he goes and he sticks something in his pocket. And the mom catches him. And she swats him and says, you can't do that, blah, blah, blah. But he had this look on his face like, I'm going to do it again. I'm just going to make sure I don't get caught. and I'm like, a kid like that if you don't nip that in the bud now, he's going to grow up to become, a huge thief and do all sorts of crazy things. And the way I look at it is that if that mother was able to not have to worry about, oh my God, I gotta get these kids in the car, we gotta do this, we gotta do that, and who's to say that maybe she's working 18 hours a day, she didn't have any time off when she first, had the kids to begin with, because of course in the United States we don't have paid family leave, and all these things, I'm like, little things like that could have nipped that situation in the bud. And
absolutely.
It just boggles my mind that things like this we're having to have negotiations on these things.
And that has consequences. Those kinds of things have consequences because it translates into unhealthy young people that become unhealthily, socially irresponsible adults, and that fuels crime and violence and other things that basically undermine the strength and civility of our democracy and our humanity as a nation. So we really have it really is much more advantageous for us to invest in our young people on the front side, so we don't have to take care of them in the criminal justice system on the backside, which is one of the things that I think, again, most people, most Americans, whether they identify as conservative or liberal, most Americans agree that it's better for us to invest in our young people through education and opportunity rather than investing in incarceration and criminalization. The challenge, again, is the corporations. I am really mortified at the growth in the prison industrial complex.
Oh, that just is insane to me.
It has become big business. And the pipeline from the juvenile justice system into the criminal justice system that then fuels the prison industrial complex, which is incredibly profitable, is something that undermines the strength and civility of our nation. But we can't get our political leaders to have civil conversations about how we address these things because of two things. One, our politics are invaded with this corporate greed. Number two, our politicians are entrenched. There should be term limits on every political office and certainly on members of Congress.
Yes.
The fact that we have members of Congress, and some of them are my friends, that have been there for 10 and 20 years is just damnable in my estimation. Congressional leaders should be term limited the same way municipal leaders are in most places. And if we could accomplish that, That would go a long way toward restoring integrity in our politics.
Yes. Yes. See, this is the thing. I remember when, I was in school and I would read about, people who would go off, they would leave the farm and they would go serve as a public official. And then when their term was up, they would go back home. Yes. There are people that have been there forever. And
yes,
I remember seeing, I don't know what it was. Some conservative put up a deal of a Johnny Carson monologue, and he made a comment about a guy who had just gotten to Washington by the name of Joe Biden. And he was and this was played in the 80s. And I'm like, oh my God, it's 2021. He's still there.
Yes.
It's just amazing to me.
Yeah, it's amazing and it's depressing all at the same time, because you can draw a direct line. There's a direct line between some of the social ills that we seemingly are unwilling to address as a nation and the persistent presence of people on all sides of the political spectrum. There are just as many Republicans as Democrats, just as many far right as far left folks that have been in political office, particularly at the federal level, for far too long. And I don't care how much integrity you might have when you get to Congress. If you stay there for 20 years, that every single year that you are there, your positionality and your integrity, by virtue of the way the institution is structured, becomes more and more and more and more compromised, which is why I suggest that we have term limits for every political office, because the very nature of politics is the art of compromise, and you can't compromise integrity. You can't compromise on bills and laws without having to, at some point, compromise some of the core beliefs and value that you have. It's a matter of the structure of institution. That's why I believe that it was the intent of our founding fathers not to have a perpetual presence of individual congressional members.
Yes. We have got a tremendous guest with us today. Reverend Hutchins is with us. He is fantastic. And he is spot on with pretty much everything we've been talking about today. Check out movementforward.org. They have all the information over there. They've got videos. They've got their initiatives. They've got ways for you to follow them on social media. You can give to the organization. He has a fantastic newsletter as well. Go over to movementforward.org. Reverend, one of the things that I've been trying to figure out with all these things that are going on is these midterm elections that are going to be taking place.
Oh, boy.
I have a giant fear that we are going to get a bunch of MAGA, really crazy conservative people elected. Because I think the corporate Democrats are going to do much like they do in every election, try to either squeeze out the progressives, or in some races like this last election cycle, the progressive gets on the ballot and the corporate people go ahead and start pouring money into the Republican and run ads. And it's like, what are you doing?
Well, what they're doing is they're perpetuating this continual pendulum swing.
Yes.
So let me ease your fear. It's going to happen.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna have some major losses, and that's because too often the corporate, as you call them, the corporate Democrats, what I would refer to them as the well-funded, well-entrenched Democrats who are interested in the preservation of their political power rather than the promotion of our democracy.
Very much so.
They continue to beat back candidates who should be elected, who have the will and the interests of the people at heart and at mind. I think one of the things that the Democrats are going to have to do, and one of the things that the Republicans should do, is figure out how to attract new talent, how to involve younger people.
They have nobody has a bench to pull from.
They have no interest in doing it. And so it becomes and because they have no interest in doing it, it becomes incumbent upon the American people for thought and discussion leaders like you and I to have conversations and to be encouraging of young people. Let me tell you something that has been disappointing to me as an activist, as a person who believes in social justice and human and civil rights. Major corporations, political action committees, private foundations, all are hell-bent, I shouldn't say all, are mostly hell-bent on standing up political progress or political programs or political candidates or activist movements that are one side over the other. This idea of building bridges is just not attractive to enough funders, enough people, enough political action committees. What I think we have to focus on is identifying resources to run candidates that make sense on these issues, that are not trying to demonize folks on one side of the issue. People fight you when you fight them. And what you fight, you ultimately, this is what I say, Jiggy, what you fight, you ultimately invite.
Yes.
So when you punch,
you are right.
When you punch, you are inviting someone to punch back at you. Now, there comes a time when social justice requires that you draw a line in the sand. The problem with our politics today is we start the discussion off by drawing a line in the sand. And when you do that, you never get to the point of agreement on anything. So, I really encourage your listeners to visit us at movementforward.org. We are building a modern, inclusive, intergenerational, interperspective, and interracial movement for social justice and political parity. We're really in the business of building bridges to unite folks around our common cause of weeding out corruption in our politics, weeding out social justice by building bridges between like-minded people without regard to the labels that we might have.
Well, and one thing that I have noticed, Reverend, which is amazing, is that when you have a candidate, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, and they run on certain issues that are popular, they win.
Right.
Like for instance, and I haven't seen any results, but I'm assuming that she probably got trounced on this. But India Walton was a socialist candidate for the mayor of Buffalo, New York. She won a Democratic primary election against a 4-term incumbent. And she ran as a socialist. And she beat this guy. When they run on issues, they win. I guess as we wrap up here, what do you think about that aspect of things?
I think we have to be more nuanced with the candidates that we put forward. We have to run candidates that, again, are not committed to drawing lines in the sands, and words matter. One of the things that I have been really, folks on the far left have been really angry with me because I don't use the terminology Black Lives Matter. Not because I don't believe Black Lives Matter, but because I understand that words matter. And once you start calling forth certain kinds of words and sentiments, it communicates things that may distract people who should be allies of yours. Yes. We have to do a better job of picking, and I mean Democrats and progressives, have to do a better job of being mature about selecting candidates. And the candidates have got to be more mature and nuanced with the conversations and arguments that we put forward. We cannot feed steak to an infant. We have to be mature and crafty about what we say, how we say it, and how we lead. The thing about leadership, it's not always saying exactly what's on your mind. It's about saying things in such a way that people have the ability to receive and accept the leadership that you're putting forward. The major difference, I think you know that I'm a big student of the work of Martin Luther King Jr. I was very close to his wife, Coretta Scott King, and mentored by a lot of the civil rights icons that worked very closely with Dr. King. I was born a decade after Dr. King was killed, but as a student, I realized the major difference between Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X, who were both key leaders during the civil rights movement, is Dr. King dealt with people at their conscious level, the place that they were, and led them to the place that they needed to be.
Yes.
Malcolm X spoke to them from the place that he felt that they needed to be. And it wasn't about their oratory. Malcolm was just as gifted of an orator, arguably, as Dr. King was. But Dr. King took people from where they were and led them to where they needed to be. And that's what we need is political leaders, social leaders, thinkers, philosophers, thought leaders that take the conversation from where we are and lead people to where they need to be. And that's what we need to be doing in terms of putting forth candidates that have enough maturity and wisdom not to beat people over the head, not to overshoot the runway, but to glide people toward the perfection of our democracy. And I think that's what you and I and other like-minded people are interested in seeing in political candidates.
Well, you have been fantastic.
It's always great to talk to you.
This has been tremendous.
You should have me on more often.
And I would love to have you on more often. I would love to have you on once a month if we could do it. You've got my information. I'm going to put my email address in the little chat box thing here on Skype. And I want you to reach out to me, and let's try to do this once a month because this has been a refreshing conversation. And I know you've got media stuff you've got to go do, so I'm going to let you go, but I'm going to put my email in there, and we will regroup after the first of the year, my friend.
I look forward to it. Have a wonderful holiday season. All the best to you and your friends and your family as well.
Thank you. Well, Reverend, I will talk to you soon. Thank you, sir.
God bless. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it, brother. There he goes. That is Reverend Hutchins. And he joins us here on our big program, Coast to Coast, Border to Border on iHeartRadio. It's always fun to have conversations with people who get it and are not ideologues and not total fucks. Not to say that some of the people we don't have on the show are not that way, but my God, sometimes people just cannot see past their own ideology. So it's a hell of a deal. We're going to take a brief time out. When we come back, we have got more coming up. It is your big broadcast. We are live and we are coming back. Here on our big broadcast. I think I've got you. Can you see me, my friend? Can you hear me?
Hey, how's it going?
Look at that. We've got him. Okay, welcome back to our big broadcast. We are live, coast to coast, border to border on iHeartRadio today and AMFM247.com. Tune in, iTunes, and of course you can find us each and every day over there at JIGGYJHEUAR.com. We have got a great guest joining us today here via the magic of the old Skip Skype. Yes, the old Skyper Rooney. And he is tremendous. And he has got a heck of a lot going on. By the way, if you want to join us on our website, you can do so at JiggyJaguar.com. That's JIGGYJAGUAR.com. And Jason Pringle with us today. He joins us here on our big broadcast. He is from Atomic Drop, which is awesome. I love that I love that. Nobody does the atomic drop anymore. I wish they did. I wish people would bring that back. I'm going to have to talk to my buddy Outlaw, who wrestles on the indie circuit, and see if I could get him to. He always has all these unique moves. Every match he wrestles, he always has a different old school move. So maybe I can get him to do the atomic drop at some point. But Jason has several projects. And we're going to be talking about these throughout the program. But first of all, you have a website, atomicdrop.net. Tell us a little bit about this website, my friend.
I started the website so I can bring the books and the comic books I make to the people. And it's got some T-shirt designs on there that I make.
Got a little bit of
some
everything
stuff
over there.
On there. Yeah,
That's
a little
awesome.
bit of merch on there.
That's awesome. Well, let's talk about some of these projects that you've got going. You have got your hands in all sorts of things. You are busier than a ferret in a Jello fight, my friend. Tell me a little bit about, first of all, this graphic novel. You have created this using real wrestling figures. Tell us about this. This is a hell of a deal. This graphic novel.
That's on the site right now. That's available now. So I took wrestling action figures. I customized them. I kind of painted them up, and I gave them little personalities. And so I built a little studio, and I have a little contraption. I would hang them with fishing line to do the moves. And I have, I would use Play-Doh in some of the scenes to hold them steady.
Okay.
And use a lot of camera tricks and stuff to give them where it looks like they're doing some action moves and stuff. So then I took probably about 1,000 pictures, and I edited them all, the ones that I wanted to, into a graphic novel. I made a whole story to about 160 pages.
Wow. That's a hell of a deal. So
yes, I turned it into a it looks like a comic book.
Yeah. So is this available for people to purchase and everything, or are you still working on this? Tell us a little bit about this.
This is available right now on atomicdrop.net.
Fantastic.
Yes, it's done. It's complete.
Fantastic.
It's my first title. So right now I'm working on the same concept with action figures in my studio, but I'm doing the Andy Kaufman story.
That's awesome.
So I have an Andy Kaufman figure, and I've got some ladies, and I've got some little yogis because he was into meditation. So I have a lot of some of the scenes he's in some transcendental meditation.
That's awesome.
And he's getting advice from his yogi, you know. So that's a lot of fun to make that right now.
That's great. We have got a great guest with us today. He joins us live here on our big broadcast. Jason Pringle is with us. AtomicDrop.net is the official website. Go over and check out AtomicDrop.net. And something else that you're working on is a comic book series. You have done some research on Frank Gotch, Farmer Burns. You, of course, are from Iowa, which I've been to Iowa one time. I went to Spencer, Iowa, of all places.
Okay.
And I know a lot of different bands that have come through Iowa. Tell me a little bit about your research on Gotch and Burns and this comic book series.
Well, so Farmer Burns, he's from Iowa, and he starts it all off. He trained over 1,500 wrestlers, they say.
Jeez.
He's kind of this like legendary, known for his physique, and he could hang himself by his neck and whistle Yankee Doodle Dandy. And so he kind of brought the carny aspect to wrestling, because when it first started in the Civil War days, they'd actually pin each other. They'd Roman and Greco try to throw each other, Abraham Lincoln days. And so about the turn of the century, Farmer Burns, he's kind of one of the ones who developed that kind of carny aspect to it, where they're kind of hustling the crowd, and where the matches were a little bit staged. And so he trained a whole group of guys under him to kind of follow that same style. And they would go from town to town, and they'd go to the fairs. And back then they'd have farmers markets where people would go buy their produce and stuff, and go buy cattle, the auction and everything. Well, they'd set up a wrestling ring and have, a match or two a day, and they'd get everybody there to bet on certain guys, and they'd throw the match and win a bunch of money and run out of town. And so that's kind of where the professional wrestling started. And it's awesome. It actually kind of started here in Iowa with Farmer Burns and with the guys he trained. And Gotch is actually one of the guys he trained. Frank Gotch was.
I think that's fantastic that you've done this research. You've put this comic book together. The first issue of this is coming out in January. Will that be available on the website, or how are people going to be able to get their hands on this?
At atomicdrop.net.
Fantastic.
And
fantastic.
By the end of January, yes, it'll be printed. Actually, this morning as we speak, I'm just getting the last little bits in, and we're putting it all together to get it ready for the printer.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's exciting. I can't wait to put the cover out online.
We have got Jason Pringle with us today. AtomicDrop.net is the official website. Go over to AtomicDrop.net for more information. And Jason, you are also you have got quite the cool thing you're doing. You have a foundation for independent wrestlers. You're kind of getting this thing going. You're working out the mechanics and everything, and this is a massive undertaking. I can completely understand you taking your time and everything with this. Tell us about this, and just give us all the details, because this sounds like a really cool idea.
Okay, so we're calling it. We've had the name registered. It's called We Love Wrestling.
Okay.
And I'm going to have a website available here pretty soon, and it'll be welovewrestling.org.
Okay.
And so I guess let's just go back. Let's look at it like this. So how many times have you sat in the crowd and you've seen at a wrestling show and you've seen a guy get hurt and you thought, man, that guy really got messed up. Like, what? I hope he's okay.
Well, yeah, we're gonna get into that here in a minute. But go ahead. Well, we can talk about Hannibal here in a few moments. But yes, go ahead. I mean to cut you off, brother.
Yeah. You wonder. What can I do for him? What can I do to help? Well. So the foundation's it's going to be there to kind of bridge the gap, kind of give a supplemental payment to try to help some of the wrestlers that get hurt, to help them pay for an x-ray. Maybe they need some physical therapy.
Yeah.
Some of these guys drive 500 miles
for
$60.
Yes.
And could you imagine driving home 400 miles with a broken orbital socket?
Yes. It's just incredible.
We want to be there when the show ends for you to be able to call and say, I need help. I've got this bill. I've got this bill. They won't see me unless I get this paid. And we want to be able to take those funds and be able to help you. So I've got various ways that we're going to raise funds for this.
We have got a great guest with us today. He joins us here on our big broadcast. Jason Pringle is with us. And one of the things that, like the thing that happened over the weekend, I'm sure you heard about the show where the YouTube guy who's a wrestler who pays to get on shows, who apparently had some sort of financial arrangement or something with Mr. Jerry Bostic, and he got on the show, and apparently he decided to take liberties with a referee, and and they had to, get him out of there, and then later on, you have guys like Jerry Bostic who go, "Oh, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know what was going on." And I'm like, I've been backstage at enough indie shows. You knew what was going on, brother. Yeah. Your foundation can help out, Lando, the referee.
Because, sure. Yeah. We're not looking at just independent wrestlers either.
Yeah. And
sure.
It is definitely an interesting organization, and I'm glad that you're doing this. I think that is really cool that you're putting this together.
One of the ways that we want to kind of fundraise is if you think of the Cheerios box and you think of the American Heart Association on the Cheerios box.
Yeah.
Well, we want to get, promotions involved and even podcasts where, hey, you donate some money here every month and you can use the logo on some of your promotional material. Well, that in return shows these independent guys, hey, we put money into this fund. We care about you. We care about what happens to you after this show. And guys are going to look at that and they're going to see these promotions that put the logo on their flyer, and they're going to see this. And I think it's going to be good all the way around. And then also we're going to start a poetry book where we will solicit poems from independent wrestlers. And we're going to have it could be a haiku.
That's
it could
awesome.
be telling me to go screw myself. Like, it doesn't matter, but we want to get poems, a collection of poems from independent wrestlers, and then we would sell this book at the shows that I'm going to be at for Atomic Drop. We'll sell it on the Atomic Drop website, and all proceeds would go to the foundation.
That's awesome. That is pretty fantastic. We have got a great guest with us today. He joins us live here on our big program. Jason Pringle is with us. AtomicDrop.net is the official website. Go over to AtomicDrop.net and check everything out. So, what do you think of the current wrestling product with all these different wrestling organizations? And it's not just the one person. It's not just the one game in town. You've got, obviously, the ROH situation that took place over the weekend is kind of disappointing. But there's a lot of wrestling out there.
Yep.
What do you think about all this, being a wrestling fan?
Well, I think it'll be cool to see some of the guys from ROH go into these other promotions and make their mark. It's going to be cool to see that. It's disappointing to see ROH go, but to see some of these guys find new homes. Yeah. I can't wait to see the Briscoes tear it up in AEW. I mean, let's be honest.
I think we all know that's coming.
So a little shakeup. It sucks to see ROH go, but we see every year with WWE in the draft. A shakeup it's going to be good for everybody.
Yeah.
We're going to get some cool guys. You're going to see some guys from ROH, Dalton Castle and stuff that aren't, your average, household name.
Yeah.
You're going to start seeing them on TV, and you're going to see them blow up.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
I think it's going to be a really, really cool deal. We have got Jason Pringle with us today. AtomicDrop.net is his official website. So, Jason, as we wrap up here with you, my friend, give us an update on when some of your other projects will be available and how people can get in touch with you and everything.
We have Action Figure Championship Wrestling's available right now. All kinds of T-shirts that we've designed.
That's awesome.
At Atomic Drop. Like, this is a Hackenschmidt shirt. We've got some Gott shirts. Mildred Burke shirts on there. We want to represent Mildred Burke.
That's awesome.
So we've got some of them T-shirts on there. Gotch will be on there ready to sell by the end of January. And also look for WeLoveWrestling.org to be up by the end of January.
That's cool. That's really cool. Well, this has been an honor and a privilege, my friend. Thanks for doing this. I look forward to chatting with you more. Have yourself a good holiday, and thanks for coming on the program, my friend.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it, brother. There he goes.
Talk to you later.
That is Jason Pringle. And we are going to take a brief time out. And when we come back, we have got more coming up. It is the big broadcast, coast to coast. We got more coming up. Pam Oaks on the way on our big program.
Attention Medicare beneficiaries. Are you getting all the benefits you need? If you have Medicare, you may now be able to get new benefits. Benefits may include eyeglasses, wellness visits, gym membership, meal delivery, and hearing aids with low copay. To find out which benefits you qualify for and to find out if you're getting the benefits that you deserve, you need to call Best Medcare. Our licensed insurance agents can look up your current benefits and tell you what additional benefits are available to you. It's easy, just one call. Tell us the deductibles you prefer, the doctors you want to see, and if you want prescription drug coverage. The service is free and you have no obligation. You may even find plans with 0 monthly plan premiums, 0 copays on many services, and 0 deductibles. You deserve every medical care coverage benefit out there and we'll help you get them. Call 800-991-7014. 800-991-7014. That's 800-991-7014. And let Best Medcare do the work for you. If you don't have final expense insurance, this message is for you. Life Care provides valuable whole life insurance to help cover final expenses, medical bills, burial costs, and unpaid debt. A final expense insurance policy is fast, easy, affordable life insurance available to anyone between the ages of 50 and 80. No medical exams, no lengthy questionnaires, and no waiting period. Call Life Care at 800-926-6092. 800-926-6092. 800-926-6092.
Now that we're home more than ever, we need to feel safe. Call it a sign of the times or the world we now live in. What do you want to keep safe? The people in your life? What do you want to protect? Your possessions, the things that belong to you, the things that you've worked hard for. Wouldn't it be nice to have tested, trusted 24/7 protection? Peace of mind, real protection that's always there for you and your whole family? Well, now you can with one of our state-of-the-art home security systems. Everyone thinks their home is safe until the unexpected happens. Start protecting your home and loved ones today with the affordable next generation in home security. To keep your family and property safe, call 1-800-676-1070. Representatives are standing by to assist you. That's 1-800-676-1070. 1-800-676-1070.
Moving can be one of the most stressful things you'll ever do. And at Moving APT, we specialize in taking the stress and strain out of your move. Whether you have a 1-bedroom apartment or a 10-bedroom mansion, you can feel safe and confident that Moving APT will get the job done. On time, hassle-free, and at the guaranteed lowest price. That's right, we will meet or beat any quote. That's our price match guarantee. At Moving APT, we never sacrifice quality or service. Licensed, bonded, and insured, you always get the best price. So if you're planning an out-of-state move within the next 30 to 60 days and you need a full-service moving company, you owe it to yourself to give us a call. We do it all, packing all your belongings, moving and unpacking. Leave the stress and strain behind and call Moving APT, America's #1 interstate movers, now. For a free quote, give us a call, 800-209-9350, 800-209-9350, 800-209-9350.
It's www.themic.info. It's the Mic Online Magazine. Been around since 2004. The Mic Online Magazine has been delivering the hardest news, the hardest hits, and the hardest content. Music coverage, reviews, interviews, videos, everything you crave in the local music, pop culture, and indie culture. It's the Mic Online Magazine. Listen to KJagRadio.com, Rock Music Hub, EDM Music Hub, and all of the KMA Entertainment family of radio stations online at themic.info, themic.info. Check it out today. It's the Mic Online Magazine. You know you want to be there. It's the Mic. Check it out. Step up to the mic at themic.info.
presenting Jiggy Jaguar.
Oh boy, oh boy. Welcome back to it. It is your world famous Jiggy Jaguar radio broadcast. We are live coast to coast. Boda to Boda, as they say, on iHeartRadio and also AMFM247.com. You can go ahead and get a hold of us online at JIGGYJAGUAR.com. Yes, JigmanFreud.com. We are going to go to Pam Oaks here in just a few moments, the great Pam Oaks, and she will be with us to talk about cars, automotives, as they say. And let's go to Pam Oaks. She is going to join us. I just kind of let that Christmas music play out. I don't know. I don't know what it means to play us out, as Bill O'Reilly would say. The great Bill O'Reilly.
Why, hello there.
Well, there's the fantastic Pam Oaks. Forget about what you've heard. Forget about ferrets and jello fights. Forget about gerbils and batting cages. Forget about dogs and Sanders. We've got Pam Oaks with us today. Pam, how are you?
Just wonderful. I like the intro, yes. I don't know about the ferret part now.
Well, you know, it happens. It happens. Now,
one time, though, at the shop that we arrived early one morning to open up, and somebody left their children's ferret in its cage with all of its food and water because they weren't feeding it, and they decided that they knew that I would know what to do with it.
That's right. You would know what to do with it. You know a little bit of everything. You've got, you know, that's how we ended up with that's how we ended up with it going from just Peter the cat to Emmy to now we have Cinnamon Bun, because apparently someone went ahead in the lovely community of Hutchinson, Kansas, and they had a pet bunny, and they decided, screw it, and they let the pet bunny go, and it ended up in some guy's garden, and then this old woman or whatever called the animal shelter. They came out, picked him up, and they didn't really know what to do with the bunny, and I seen them posted on Facebook, and I'm like, I like bunnies. So we now have Cinnamon Bun with us, and him and Peter and Emmy Girl, all they love Cinnamon Bun. So we've got a rabbit, we've got two cats here, and then if you want to throw Brittany and Crystal into the mix, we have them as well, and I'll tell you, actually, they're a lot. The two cats and the rabbit are a lot better behaved than Brittany and Crystal. But with all that in mind, it's always fun when we do the before we get down to business. We always have some sort of weird thing that we have to discuss that goes along.
It just goes off on a tangent.
So today it was you talking about a ferret, and we now have a bunny. So it's quite the deal around here.
You know, I actually had a bunny I got for Easter decades ago. And after it grew up, quote unquote, they really didn't have bunnies in East Detroit. So they were taken to the farm. And as young as I says, yeah, I know it's going to become a coat.
Wow.
I know it's going to become a Boston feather and a coat. Oh, no, we don't do that here. And it's like, of course you're doing it there. My mom's like, oh, no, we're not. And I'm like, oh, my God.
Well, I know they do have they have these little sanctuaries across the country where all these animals, things are allowed to just go and there, all this stuff. So who knows? Maybe that's what's going on.
Mid-60s Detroit.
You know what is funny about, you mentioned Detroit, There was a guy years ago, which is just amazing to me that he thought that this was. There was a guy who their job come open somewhere, I don't know, somewhere in Illinois, and this guy was leaving, and he was going home to Detroit, and he hadn't been in Detroit, Michigan, since the 80s.
Oh.
And he was getting ready to leave Illinois or whatever, and he was quote unquote gonna go home, and he was going home to Detroit, and I'm like, dude, you're going to be in quite the shock. It's changed from the 80s and that.
Oh, yes. Big time.
So that was quite the deal. And he kept talking about he was going to go home. He was going to go home. And I'm like, dude, you're in Illinois since the 80s. Illinois is your home.
Yeah. At that point, yeah. Detroit's a nice place.
Yes.
That's horrible, you know.
So, I want to chat today about all this craziness that is going on, and one of the things that is happening besides all this let's hear people with this new outbreak thing, but Uber has now decided that they are going to do driverless cars.
Oh, I am so glad you brought that up, because you know what I'm sitting in right now?
Are sitting in a driverless car?
Yes, well, I'm sitting in a Tesla, yes.
Wow. Look at that. You and Tom like with your Teslas.
No, I still prefer the ICE engine. I mean, but my personal opinion is, you know, this is the way we have to go if you want an autonomous vehicle, because they're going to be driving over these charging pads. They're going to be regenerating and going forward to their next appointment. Nobody's going to be sitting there holding a gas nozzle saying, hey, fill it up, for an example.
Yeah.
But I think, in our personal opinion, and it's just not mine, but a lot of the engineers out there, let the technology grow within itself. Don't put a timeline on it. Because when you put a timeline on battery technology, you're putting a timeline on autonomous vehicles, the different levels that they want to be at a certain time. When you push technology and it doesn't flow naturally, you're going to have problems, and you're going to be backtracking, and you're going to be spending a lot more than if you just went forward. Good competition, healthy competition. Technology moves forward.
Yeah. And
you throw a clock on there and stuff happens. It's just like, you know, everyday things. You're doing a mundane chore around the house, and I got to get out of here in 15 minutes. Something probably will not get put away or cleaned properly.
Yes.
Because you're under that timeline.
You're under
you're
under that time crunch.
Yep. Same thing with the advent of the autonomous vehicle.
So the thing that is, I guess, going on with this is that Uber Eats and Emotional, whatever that is, are working on driverless food delivery for 2022. Driverless tech provider Emotional and Uber Eats plan to add a dash of autonomy to food delivery next year in Santa Monica. Serving up meal kits from select restaurants, the news was reported by something called AI Authority, which is always a trusted news source, I guess. The plan is for food deliveries to come via Emotional's all-electric Hyundai Ioniq 5? Have you heard of this thing?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's based road taxis. This type of vehicles are used to deliver food. It's not clear whether human or robots. What do we got? Okay, go.
In
Tell
2018, Ford had a contract with Domino Pizza, and down in Miami Beach.
Of course they did.
Down in Miami Beach, they were doing autonomous pizza deliveries.
Wow.
So, nope.
So,
I saw those vehicles They existed. The project was a reality. Yeah. So.
And of course, Pam Oakes is not a time traveler. She saw those vehicles, and those things do exist. And the only reason why I bring up the time traveler thing is because there has been, I don't know why this exists, but apparently there is a photo from the 1980s of a Tyson fight in Vegas where there's all these people in this crowd, and this random guy holds up a cell phone like he's recording the fight, and it's a modern-day cell phone. It's not one of those giant brick phones from the 80s. And everybody's like, what the hell is that? Is that a guy, a time traveler? So.
Well, you know, they did have companies way back in the early 90s that, based off of our smartphones today, unfortunately, some of the big guys said, yeah, we'll help you out, stole the tech, and we're using it today. But like everything, you know. But yeah, if I had time travel, I'd travel back, smack me in the back of the head and say, snap out of it and go back to where I was. I don't know if it helped me. It's like, oh, what was that? Oh, okay.
So, what do you think of this thing that they're gonna? Is this just more of a thing of, hey, if we can do driverless cars, we can get rid of the people to go out and do the Uber Eats stuff? Is that?
It's a test. Right now they have Nero is doing FedEx and USPS. They're doing quote unquote driverless deliveries for packaging in select areas. You know, they've got the grid. They can orchestrate it that way, but right now we're in a level 2, a heavy level 2, including this Tesla, okay?
Yeah.
Going forward, I mean, we have 5 levels before we can do any of this. Things that will shut down an autonomous mode, even in the level 2, the heavy level 2s, if anything interferes with the cameras, the lidar, the radar, rain, snow, I mean, we're not at that level yet that they're going to just let these vehicles deliver food items.
Yeah.
It's great to talk about. It's like, hey, we're experimenting along with everybody else. We're going to try to move forward. You know, we hooked into a tier 1, in this case, Hyundai, and you know, we're going to be trying this out. Well, that's great because that's going to move the technology forward. Is it reality right now? No. You know, it's going to be in a small area. Of course, you have to have somebody behind the wheel, unlike the FedEx USPS vehicles that are running around autonomous. But you have to have somebody behind the wheel by law in case something does happen.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things, but yeah, it sounds really neat, doesn't it?
Yes. So
but it's not going to be putting anybody on the unemployment line.
I think that's the goal at some point, is that's what they want to do.
Yeah, that's the goal. Won't have so many cars around. Yeah, if you listen to if you go to a DOT meeting or whatever, I mean, in 5 years, this is all going to happen. Nobody's going to need a garage anymore. We're not going to need all these roads and everything. They need to talk to the automotive industry because this stuff's decades out yet.
Yeah.
There's so much. And then even infiltrating with your car, my car. You know what I mean? You have an antique car driving next to semi-autonomous or autonomous vehicles. You know, how are they going to interact? There's so much machine learning that needs to be done. And this is going to be a qualified area for machine learning for these individual software companies, and I'm sure they have a contract with them that they're going to share.
Oh, I would almost assume. You're not gonna. Yeah, that's what's gonna happen there. I guess before we what's up?
I was just going to say a project I was working on a couple of years ago. They're still doing machine learning. it's still, I mean, so much information. And then at that point, it's not AI, okay? Or excuse me, IA, artificial intelligence, okay?
Yes.
AI or IA. I'm brain damaged right now. I've been studying this stuff. But, I mean, it's not going to say, I thought maybe I should turn left. It's not going to say that. It's going to look at criteria right now.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence and machine learning are two separate things. And we've got a ton of machine learning to do before we go in that direction.
Yes. Well, before we let you go, my friend, it is going to be holiday time here. Tell us how we get your book and everything.
You can. Thank you for asking. You can get it at findmeautohelp.com. We have links to get our book, and it's got everything consumer needs to keep money in their wallet at the repair shop, because that's what it's all about.
Fantastic.
It's all
Fantastic.
about.
Well, have yourself a happy, and I will talk to you after the first of the year, because we will be off for the next couple weeks. But I will talk to you at the beginning of the year, my friend.
Merry Christmas and Happy Year.
Definitely. Well, Pam, have yourself a wonderful holiday. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate
Take care.
it. There
Bye-bye.
she goes. That is Pam Oakes, the lovely and talented Pam Oakes. And you can get in touch with us online at JiggyJaguar.com. That's JIGGYJaguar.com. So, let's wrap it up for the big broadcasting.
LifeCare provides valuable whole life insurance to cover final expenses such as medical bills, burial costs, and unpaid debt. A final expense insurance policy is fast, easy, affordable life insurance that's available to anyone between the ages of 50 and 80. No medical exams, no lengthy questionnaires, and no waiting period. The application process is quick and easy. You can even apply without having to undergo a medical examination. Just answer a few questions and we'll do the rest. With the average funeral cost skyrocketing to $11,000 and Social Security only paying $255, you need simple, affordable peace of mind for you and your whole family. Don't leave behind unpaid expenses that, if left unattended, will burden your family tremendously. Benefits include a guaranteed premium that will never increase, a guaranteed cash value, and a guaranteed death benefit that can never decrease. To find out how you can get final expense insurance with a guaranteed lifetime rate lock, call LifeCare at 800-671-0247. 800-671-0247. 800-671-0247.
Are you getting the most out of your Medicare plan? Are you sure? You'll want to write down a very important phone number that can assure you're receiving your full benefits. Many people with Medicare are eligible for plans that include extra benefits, in addition to those found in Original Medicare. Benefits like dental, vision, and prescription drug coverage. Call now at 1-800-521-7617 to see if you're eligible to enroll. The consultation is free and there's no obligation to enroll. In addition to hospital and medical coverage at no extra cost, you can also get coverage for prescription drugs, dental, hearing, vision, and more. In many areas, plans with benefits are available with $0 copays for many services, $0 monthly premiums, or $0 deductibles. That's hospital, medical, prescription drug, dental coverage, and more included in one plan with premiums that may be as low as $0 a month. Call now to see if you're eligible to enroll. The consultation is free and there's no obligation to enroll. Call 1-800-521-7617. That's 1-800-521-7617.
The hottest EDM music is available right now. Hashtag EDM Music Hub. Check out EDMMusicHub.com. 24/7 stream of the best in EDM, electronic, dance, and more. Check out EDM Music Hub. Press promo is available at facebook.com/EDM Music Hub. Check it out today. If you want to submit your music, it's edmmusichub@gmail.com. EDM Music Hub. The best in EDM. Listen right now.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private Healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready, and health insurance is your financial safety net. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, give us a call at 800-913-8914. That's 800-913-8914. 800-913-8914.
If you're over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity in the next 60 days, I have some important news for you. Don't buy an annuity until you understand the pros and cons of annuities. A free book to help you maximize your retirement income from television host and three-time author Josh Melberg has been released. This book reveals little-known truths about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms. Grab a pen right now because we are about to offer you this free book that unlocks the 5 little-known secrets we believe baby boomers and seniors should know before buying an annuity. Call 800-791-3232 now and you'll receive a free copy of Josh Melberg's book, Next Gen Annuity Strategies Revealed. As a bonus, we'll also send you a copy of The #1 Mistakes Retirees Are Making with Their Investments Today and a free DVD on how you can get up to 33% more income in retirement. Call 800-791-3232. That's 800-791-3232. Employees of J.D. Melberg Financial have the appropriate licenses for the products they offer.
Welcome to the world-famous Jiggy Jaguar radio program, broadcasting live from Hutchinson, Kansas. Call Jiggy right now, 267-22-JIGGY. Presenting Jiggy Jaguar.
Yes, yes, indeed. It is the big broadcast. Coast to coast, border to border. It is iHeartRadio Today and AM/FM247.com. Get a hold of us online at JIGGYJAGOAR.com. So, let's do this. We are going to go to our first guest. She is going to join us here on our big broadcast. It is going to be quite the interview. It is something I did a couple weeks ago. I got to see if I can find this. Where in the world is this? And we're going to see just what in the world. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego, as they say? I don't know who's saying it. I don't know why they're saying it. They are indeed saying it, though. Oh, my God. I've got to literally go in and find this. What a mess. What a damn mess. Get a hold of us online at JiggyJaguar.com. That's JIGGYJAGUAR.com. Our podcast is available over there as well. And you can subscribe to us on Rumble. We love our people on Rumble, even though it's sort of a weird alternative to all the various sites out there. But Rumble. I don't know what the Hogman is. What the hell is the Hogman? I don't know what the Hogman is. The Hogman. I don't know what a Hogman is. I don't know where a Hogman works, and I don't know what a Hogman does. You can get a hold of us, as I mentioned, over there at JR.com. What in the world is this? I'm trying to find all of my various, ever since they have redone Google Chrome, I believe it's Chrome. Ever since they've redone Google Chrome, I absolutely. I used to love Google Chrome, but things are in the wrong place. Why do these companies have this and things better and faster and easier, and they just aren't. Just aren't. Oh, it's always such a mess. But we are going to do this. We got Larry Tracy coming up here on our programs. But this is an interview I did earlier this week. Here it is right now.
Okay, Joan. I had James from iHeart on the line. James, hello, Joan.
Good morning, sir. How are you? We've got a heck of a deal today. We're running around and just amazed. Tell us a little bit about what you have for us today, because you've got all sorts of different things, and it just amazing stuff.
And I'm the toy safety mom, and I'm an expert on safety and standards for toys. But this year, we're especially talking about, with the increase of online sales, we're also seeing an increase in counterfeit toys being sold online. And a counterfeit toy might not comply with our tough U.S. safety standards, and so they would be ones you'd want to avoid. And so we'll talk about tips for how to shop online and avoid counterfeits.
Fantastic. We have got a great guest with us today. The Toy Doctor joins us, and the holidays mean it's time for family, friends. However, as we've noticed today, it can be very chaotic and stressful. And the Toy Association's Toy Safety Mom, Joan Lawrence, is with us today. She is a tireless advocate for children's product safety and helps lead the Toy Association's efforts to encourage consistent, protective, risk-based toy safety standards worldwide. She joins us today here in the broadcast. So what are the best ways that people can spot and just avoid these counterfeit toys?
Well, the first thing you can do when you're trying to shop for a toy is try to shop from the reputable brand, or a seller locally. Those new toys will have been tested for compliance with over 100 different safety standards and tests that are required by law in this country. If you're going to shop online, your best bet is to visit the toy brand's website and either purchase directly from the site or follow their links to their official retailers of their product. If you can't find a website for the seller, for the brand of your product, that could be a red flag that you're dealing with an illicit seller. We also recommend, if you're shopping online, to do some homework before you set out to look for that toy. Check all parts of a listing. Read it thoroughly. Are there reviews? Are they negative? Are there very few reviews? Look for poorly photoshopped photos, spelling mistakes, typos, or inconsistent information. All of those could be red flags that you're looking at a counterfeit toy. And the reason it matters that you don't want a counterfeit toy is that they have, yes, violated copyright law, but also they may be violating the safety standards for toys sold in this country. And there's over 100 different safety standards and tests, and a counterfeit toy wouldn't likely comply with those. So you would not want that in your home.
We have got the Toy Doctor with us today. She joins us live. The Toy Safety Mom, Joan Lawrence, is with us. She is fantastic. And so what toys and safety advice do you have for the new parents out there?
Well, we always recommend that the first rule of toy safety is to look at the age on the toy, the recommended age, and make sure you match that to the age of your child. It's not about how smart a child may be, and we all tend to think our child is smarter than everybody else. But that age on the product is safety guidance, and it's based on the specific features of that toy and the developmental abilities of a child at that age. So you really need to follow the age on the package. So that's rule one. And then also it's important to supervise play, and that can be hard to do as parents in our hectic lives. But sometimes it makes such a difference. Read the instructions to your child, especially if they're not of reading age yet. Show them how to play safely. Even get down on the floor and play along with your child. It can do so much to demonstrate safe play and ensure safe play once you bring a toy into your home.
Fantastic. Well, where can we go for more information on the web? Because I know that your time is limited and you've got all sorts of different things going on this morning.
We have a website. It is playsafe.org, and it has all kinds of toy safety advice, how to choose safe and age-appropriate toys, ensure safe play once you bring a toy home. It even has an age-by-age buying guide, not about specific toys or brands, but rather the types of toys and the types of play that foster development at different ages. So there's lots of information there.
Fantastic. Well, have yourself a wonderful holiday, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you, Joan.
Thanks very much.
If you don't have final expense insurance, this message is for you. Life Care provides valuable whole life insurance to help cover final expenses, medical bills, burial costs, and unpaid debt. A final expense insurance policy is fast, easy, affordable life insurance available to anyone between the ages of 50 and 80. No medical exams, no lengthy questionnaires, and no waiting period. Call Life Care at 800-926-6092, 800-926-6092, 800-926-6092. Attention Medicare beneficiaries. Are you getting all the benefits you need? If you have Medicare, you may now be able to get new benefits. Benefits may include eyeglasses, wellness visits, gym membership, meal delivery, and hearing aids with low copay. To find out which benefits you qualify for and to find out if you're getting the benefits that you deserve, you need to call Best Medcare. Our licensed insurance agents can look up your current benefits and tell you what additional benefits are available to you. It's easy, just one call. Tell us the deductibles you prefer, the doctors you want to see, and if you want prescription drug coverage. The service is free and you have no obligation. You may even find plans with 0 monthly plan premiums, 0 copays on many services, and 0 deductibles. You deserve every medical care coverage benefit out there, and we'll help you get them. Call 800-991-7014, 800-991-7014. That's 800-991-7014. And let Best Medcare do the work for you.
Download the iHeartRadio app to hear us live as live can get. Search JIGGY-JAGUAR. You will hear great bits like this from Barry Farber, legendary conservative talk show host.
Makes the difference. But look, man, I got to thank you for giving me this much time, this much respect. You have really made today a great pleasure for me, and I want to thank you for it.
Once you've downloaded the iHeartRadio app, search JIGGY-JAGUAR and listen to all of our past episodes and future episodes of the world-famous Jiggy Jaguar Show, all categorized by hour.
Well, I just want to say I love what you do, James. But I love what you're doing. I love just being a part of what you sharing information with your listeners.
Search JIGGY-JAGUAR on iHeartRadio.
Now that we're home more than ever, we need to feel safe. Call it a sign of the times or the world we now live in. What do you want to keep safe? The people in your life? What do you want to protect? Your possessions, the things that belong to you, the things that you've worked hard for. Wouldn't it be nice to have tested, trusted 24/7 protection? Peace of mind, real protection that's always there for you and your whole family? Well, now you can with one of our state-of-the-art home security systems. Everyone thinks their home is safe until the unexpected happens. Start protecting your home and loved ones today with the affordable next generation in home security. To keep your family and property safe, call 1-800-676-1070. Representatives are standing by to assist you. That's 1-800-676-1070. 1-800-676-1070.
LifeCare provides valuable whole life insurance to cover final expenses such as medical bills, burial costs, and unpaid debt. A final expense insurance policy is fast, easy, affordable life insurance that's available to anyone between the ages of 50 and 80. No medical exams, no lengthy questionnaires, and no waiting period. The application process is quick and easy. You can even apply without having to undergo a medical examination. Just answer a few questions and we'll do the rest. With the average funeral cost skyrocketing to $11,000 and Social Security only paying $255, you need simple, affordable peace of mind for you and your whole family. Don't leave behind unpaid expenses that, if left unattended, will burden your family tremendously. Benefits include a guaranteed premium that will never increase, a guaranteed cash value, and a guaranteed death benefit that can never decrease. To find out how you can get final expense insurance with a guaranteed lifetime rate lock, call LifeCare at 800-671-0247. 800-671-0247. 800-671-0247.
That is why you don't move files during a commercial break.
Jaguar Radio Show on the network.
That is why you don't move files during a commercial break. That's just a simple lesson into why you don't move files during a commercial break. So let's do this. Let's go to Larry Tracy. He is going to join us here on our big program. Let's see if we can call Larry Tracy on his telephone. And we may end up having to call Larry Tracy on the cell phone because he might not pick up on the regular phone. So,
hello, James.
There he is. Larry Tracy. How are you, sir?
Very good, very good.
So there is, there used to be something called Slow News Days, and they don't have them anymore. So Larry, there is a lot going on. I noticed that there is this thing that is just, to me, just insane. But I know a lot of people are into this. What is the deal with this Let's Go Brandon crap?
Well, it's a phenomenon I've never seen before. Just to review quickly how it all started, it was and I'm not a NASCAR fan, so you'll learn about it later.
Yeah.
But there was a race down in Talladega, which is a famous NASCAR race, and a guy named Brandon Brown won, and he was being interviewed. It was his first win. And he's very happy at this. He's a clean-cut guy. And the NBC reporter was congratulating him, and there was a chant coming from the stands. And she said, well, just listen to that. They're saying, let's go, Brandon. And she held the microphone up so that it would pick up what they were actually saying. And it wasn't let's go, Brandon. It was bleep Joe Biden.
Yes.
Without the bleep.
Yes.
So that became a chant all around in college football games. And what surprised me was the youth of the country is supposed to be for Biden, yet these were the ones attending the game shouting that. And then after a while, they realized it was kind of offensive, so it became a code to go back to what she had thought it was, let's go Brandon. And it's hilarious that they're doing this, and it's all over, and a lot of comedians have picked up on it. Now, the very sensitive Democrats who didn't mind when Robert De Niro at either the Grammys or the Academy Awards said bleep Donald Trump without the bleep, and they didn't have any problem with that, but now they think it's very, very disrespectful for the President of the United States for people to be saying that. But it shows the national mood of the country as to how there's, I guess we could call it in marketing, we would call it buyer's remorse. That people say, God, who is this guy that we elected? So it's become interesting, and I think a lot of people will continue it all the time. And an airline pilot recently got in trouble because he was making his announcement to the folks about where they'd be flying and what altitude and all that, and then he ended it by saying, let's go, Brandon. So people were all upset. I wonder if he still has his job on it, but somebody in Congress, the congressman, ended his talk with a Republican, of course, saying, let's go, Brandon. So it's catching on. It's an interesting thing. It's catching on sort of in direct proportion or inverse proportion to Biden's ratings, which are down in the cellar right now. They're low 40s, high 30s, and I don't think there's ever been a president, except one, Donald Trump. He had lower ratings than that because the media was all against him. And here the media is basically protecting Biden, but he's still getting those very low ratings. And the Democrats, I think, are really in a panic right now. That's why they're pushing hard for these voting rights bills, because they want to make sure that they can get mail-in voting and others that will give them a chance in 2022 by manipulating things a bit. But it's an interesting phenomenon, and it shows that the how can I say it, the Republican sense of humor is there, which sometimes is lacking for Republicans. But they're pushing this one hard.
Yes. Well, and one of the things, we've got Larry Tracy with us today. One of the things that I think you hit that on the head, Larry, is the buyer's remorse. Because Joe Biden was elected, and he was supposed to go in there, and he's supposed to do all these amazing things. And the only thing I can think of is what he told some of his donors and some of the corporations when he did get elected, where he said, nothing fundamentally will change. And I think that's what people are mad about, is that nothing has changed. And he literally has gotten nothing done. This is probably the first president I've ever heard of who literally has done nothing.
Well, I just disagree with one point, though, James, and that is, I think things have changed. They've gotten a lot worse. If he had done nothing at all, if he had left the wall up down on the southern border, we wouldn't have this terrible, terrible onslaught of people coming, not just from the tier countries in Central America. There have been more than 30 countries represented.
Yes.
They're coming from all over the world. It's sort of they're answering the cry that is very popular in the South, y'all come. And they hear that, and they're coming. Remember, they used to have T-shirts that said, Biden let us in. And some of my Spanish-speaking friends say the whole thing on the border, it's called La Invitación. And so they felt that Biden coming in said, good, Trump's gone. We're going to be able to come in. They did away with the Remain in Mexico policy. Now it's back on.
Yes.
Although a lot of people don't know about it, it's not being publicized very well. But this is just horrible. And Biden, and this is something that I think the Republicans could put up a little bit more, Biden has become a super spreader of the COVID, because they're putting people on planes. And one report, or several reports of this, said 70 planes have flown in, or more than that by now, into Jacksonville, Florida. And now Governor DeSantis is asking his legislative body to grant the funds to put all of those immigrants that have come in on buses and take them up to Delaware, Biden's home state. And there was also a report they also want to send them up to Martha's Vineyard. So when the beautiful people up there see these buses rolling in, they may not be so pro-immigration policy as they seem to be.
That's amazing.
But it has been just a disaster in this. And one sense, I'm going to give myself credit and pat myself on the back. I saw this coming. I thought Biden was a phony the first time I saw him at a Senate hearing, and I've mentioned this before in the program, 82 or 83.
Yeah.
I went over there to back up my boss, the Assistant Secretary of Defense, and Biden was very charming. He reminded me of my relatives. You know, he's Irish Catholic, gregarious. We're sort of BS artists. It's in our genes, and I saw that. But then when he started asking the questions, it looked like he was how would I say it, the pro-counsel for the Sandinistas. He was highly critical. I think probably wasn't so much that he was for the Sandinistas in Nicaragua, that he was against anything that Ronald Reagan was doing.
Yes.
And I went over after that hearing, and I went to see Congressman Henry Hyde, who I'd become very friendly with because I'd done some programs for him out in Chicago. And I said, what's the deal with Biden? He's supposed to be a moderate. I mean, he's pro-Sandinista. And Hyde said, don't be too tough on Joe. He just has to protect his left flank. Well, he was protecting his left flank to the point that from that time on, I thought he was a phony. And he comes from 15 miles from where I grew up, so I'm familiar with the whole area, and I just did never trust him whatsoever. So when he was coming up as the moderate, the alternative to Bernie Sanders, I was thinking, well, cuidado. In Spanish, we have as an expression, when we doubt something, we pull down on our eyelid and we say, cuidado, careful. And I was telling everybody, cuidado, as I pulled down on my eye. He's just lived true to form from what I thought he would be, an absolute phony.
We have got a great guest with us today. Larry Tracy is with us here on the telephone talking a little bit about some of the issues of the day. And another thing that I want to get your thoughts on is these stores that are in Deep Blue, Massachusetts. Tell me about these LGB stores that are out there that have sales of T-shirts and hats and some of these different things that are going on.
Well, it's an interesting thing. There's a guy who used to have a series of Trump stores, and then after the election he closed them down. He's reopened them, and he's selling T-shirts and hats that say, let's go Brandon, and in Massachusetts. Now, I'll tell you, that is a brave person to go and wear a red hat up in Massachusetts on it, but apparently his sales are quite brisk. And again, is that a trend that's going to be around the country? Maybe some other entrepreneurs will pick it up in other places as well. But boy, listen, I live in a deep blue area of Bethesda, Maryland. You can't get any bluer than that. You're not going to see me walking around with a red hat on. So, but more power to him if he's doing it. It's capturing a national mood. Well, but I want to pass on one thing that I heard last night. I talked to a fellow who is fairly close to Republican leadership, and he said one of the stories being kicked around now would be that the House would go heavily in 2022 to the Republicans. But Kevin McCarthy would not become the Speaker of the House. That would go to Donald J. Trump, because you do not have to be a member of the Congress to be a Speaker of the House. And he said that a lot of people are kicking around the idea Trump would then, as Speaker of the House, issue articles of impeachment against both, I mean, this is so absurd that you can't even tell with a straight face, against both Biden and Harris. They would be impeached, and who is the next line of succession if this happens? The Speaker of the House.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, I laughed at it, but this guy is fairly well up in the Republican circles in Virginia, and he said that this is something really seriously being talked about. That was while I was laughing at the whole thing, if it could happen. But I think the Republicans, if they just have to, the way things are going now, with the crime wave, the border, the surrender in Afghanistan. When you say to a Democrat about that, the surrender in Afghanistan, they say, "Oh no, he was just hemmed in by what Trump had said," and that's absolute BS. That's not the case at all. Trump had military assets positioned so that if the Taliban moved in any way against the withdrawal, he was going to hit them with the hardest onslaught since World War II, probably in bombing. So that's just a cop-out. But the mood is just so anti-Biden right now, because I think the people feel he did come in and say we're going to go back to normality, and he had this reputation that he was indeed the calm foreign policy person. And I remember that Robert Gates, who was the Republican Secretary of Defense for Obama, said that in all of Biden's career, he had never made one correct decision. So he's turning out to be quite a prophet. And that goes back to your point. Nothing has gone right. And this, what is it called? The Build Back Better bill.
Oh yeah, they're shelving
Senator
that.
Manchin.
They've decided to shelve that thing.
Yeah. Now, what the Fed has announced yesterday, that they're going to raise interest rates. That's about the only thing the federal government can do, I'm told by economists, to rein in inflation, is to tighten the money supply. But that also cuts down on jobs, so it's a double-edged sword, and whether that's going to work or not, because there's the inflation is just out of hand. A friend of mine, and I've heard people say this on television, but a friend of mine who drives a truck, a pickup truck, and he spent just about $100 to fill up his tank, and he drives a lot, so he's looking at spending $400 or $500 on gas every month, and that's going to hit. That's hitting the middle class and the lower class, and that's what's going to really hurt him in the elections, or his party next year, and then in 2024. And there's a lot of talk within the Democratic Party, and I don't think we've ever had this happen before, of saying who should be the nominee in 2024. The view is he's just too old and incompetent to be president. But when you look at the list of who the likely candidates are, let's say Warren, Pocahontas, I'm forgetting her first name, and they've got such a weak bench. This is like a team going into the World Series, and they've got nobody except their first 9, and the first 9 are not doing so well. So they're in bad shape for 2024. And then you look at history, that 17 out of the last 19 elections, the party in control of the White House lost seats in the House, and the only 2 examples where they gained seats, they were the result of national crises. One was JFK after the Cuban Missile Crisis, and then the other one would have been George W. Bush after 9/11, and there was a patriotic wave at that time. Every other time, the people vent their spleen by voting against the president's party, and the key indicator is always what is the approval rating of the president before those elections. And generally, in those 2 cases, I think Kennedy and Bush were both approaching 60% approval. And Biden he's not going to make it up to 50%. So there are some people looking at it. Doug Schoen, who was President Clinton's pollster and is one of the best ones, he's predicting his party, and he's absolute Democrat, there's no question about it, supported Biden. He said he's afraid his party could lose 60 to 70 seats in the House. And I think it's going to be a much more conservative House than now, because Trump is going to be putting a lot of the money he's raised into having primary challengers face the more moderate members. So it's going to be a much more right-of-center Republican House in 2023 when they take over than it is right now. So articles of impeachment, whether it's that funny thing that we talked about or something else, they've got a lot of grounds to go after him. Afghanistan, the border crisis, the crime wave. Well, you can't say that the crime wave is the responsibility of the president. All of these murder records being set are in parties controlled or cities controlled by the Democrats. So that party is in, to use the phrase that President Bush 41 would have used, they're in deep doo-doo right now.
Larry Tracy is with us. Larry, I will talk to you after the new year. We're going to be off for the next 2 weeks, but
okay.
I look forward to chatting with you in the new year, my friend. And have yourself a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, my man.
The same to you, James. Thanks very much.
Appreciate it, my friend. There he goes. That's the great Larry Tracy. And he joins us here on our big program, Coast to Coast, Border to Border, and, of course, 50-plus AM/FM stations in the big network, known the world over as the world-famous Jiggy Jaguar Radio Show. We're going to take a brief time out. When we come back, we've got more on the other side.
LifeCare provides valuable whole life insurance to cover final expenses such as medical bills, burial costs, and unpaid debt. A final expense insurance policy is fast, easy, affordable life insurance that's available to anyone between the ages of 50 and 80. No medical exams, no lengthy questionnaires, and no waiting period. The application process is quick and easy. You can even apply without having to undergo a medical examination. Just answer a few questions and we'll do the rest. With the average funeral cost skyrocketing to $11,000 and Social Security only paying $255, you need simple, affordable peace of mind for you and your whole family. Don't leave behind unpaid expenses that if Moving can be one of the most stressful things you'll ever do. And at Moving APT, we specialize in taking the stress and strain out of your move. Whether you have a 1-bedroom apartment or a 10-bedroom mansion, you can feel safe and confident that Moving APT will get the job done. On time, hassle-free, and at the guaranteed lowest price. That's right, we will meet or beat any quote. That's our price match guarantee. At Moving APT, we never sacrifice quality or service. Licensed, bonded, and insured, you always get the best price. So if you're planning an out-of-state move within the next 30 to 60 days and you need a full-service moving company, you owe it to yourself to give us a call. We do it all, packing all your belongings, moving and unpacking. Leave the stress and strain behind and call Moving APT, America's #1 interstate movers, now. For a free quote, give us a call, 800-209-9350, 800-209-9350, 800-209-9350.
KJagRadio.com. 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 You got the power, I got the steam. KJagRadio.com.
A bare wall doesn't qualify as art, but a movie poster does. The place to get a movie poster to decorate your wall is JustMoviePosters.com. JustMoviePosters.com have posters for dramas, romantic comedies, blockbusters, and more. Most items at JustMoviePosters.com are priced between $7 to $15 plus shipping. Go to www.JustMoviePosters.com to find the movie poster of your dreams today. That's www.justmovieposters.com.
We have got a great guest we're going to be getting to here in just a few moments. J.B. Yali is going to be with us. And we will... An incredible new marketing partner with us today at Transmedia Worldwide. This is fantastic. Check out dollsrent.com. That's right, dollsrent.com. Robo-lovers, sex dolls and clothing with realistic plastic itemized. Adult dolls for rent start at $99 for 2 hours. Absolutely realistic feeling. Dolls feel like a real girl. Robo-lovers for any of your desires. Low premium material, highest quality. They're local and deliver your order in cash limits. You can check the doll before you take back. And also Twitter, Dolls Rent. Facebook.com/DollsRent. DollsRent.com.
Good morning, my friend.
Good morning. So the piece that we wrote, it actually was, it probably happened on January, which is new. After Apple started collecting data, and they found that for both the Department of Defense and for the church to work with, to think of extreme military and try to think about so we know there's a history of racial extremism in the military. And I think this is a problem for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is that it's not good for unit cohesion, right? We're sending these young men and women into battle to risk their lives to protect our country. And it's really hard to trust the person next to you if you know that person might look down on you or think less of you because of the color of your skin. That's really unfair to our entire fighting force who are making these sacrifices for us. And so it's just not good for unit cohesion. From a practical point of view, this is not good for the military. But I also think there's something of a moral imperative here, right? Which is that we have these men and women who are making this incredible commitment and sacrifice for our country. And they really deserve to live and work in an environment of respect and dignity. And so we owe it to them to get rid of racial extremism in the military. It's just something, it's the least we can do is to provide them with an environment without racial extremism while they're making these sacrifices to protect our way of life.
Where do we go for more information on all this?
Yeah, so the best place to go would be, I work for a research organization called CNA. So you can go to www.cna.org, click on Our Research, and if you just scroll down a little bit, you'll find 2 reports on racial extremism in the military. One is long, about maybe 50 or 60 pages, but there's a short 5-page one in there as well if you just want a little snack.
Fantastic. Well, this has been informative. Thank you for doing this, and good luck with everything, and have yourself a happy holiday.
You too. Thanks so much.
Thank you much.
An incredible new marketing partner with us today at Transmedia Worldwide. This is fantastic. Check out dollsrent.com. That's right, dollsrent.com. Robo lovers. Sex dolls for rent in Cleveland, Ohio. It's going to get hot in Cleveland tonight with realistic TPE thermoplastic itomizer. Adult dolls for rent start at $99 for 2 hours. Absolutely realistic feeling. Dolls feel like a real girl. Robo lovers, for any of your desires. Look real, feel real, premium material. Highest quality. They're local, and they deliver your order same day and accept cash on delivery payments. You could check the doll before you take it and pay after check. All dolls are fully consistent with the photographs posted on the website. Also find them on Instagram at Dolls Rent. Also Twitter, Dolls Rent. Facebook.com/Dolls Rent. That's right, dollsrent.com. Real sex dolls in Cleveland. Get some sex tonight.
If you're over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity in the next 60 days, I have some important news for you. Don't buy an annuity until you understand the pros and cons of annuities. A free book to help you maximize your retirement income from television host and three-time author Josh Melberg has been released. This book reveals little-known truths about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms. Grab a pen right now because we are about to offer you this free book that unlocks the 5 little-known secrets we believe baby boomers and seniors should know before buying an annuity. Call 800-791-3232 now, and you'll receive a free copy of Josh Melberg's book, Next Gen Annuity Strategies Revealed. As a bonus, we'll also send you a copy of The #1 Mistakes Retirees Are Making with Their Investments Today, and a free DVD on how you can get up to 33% more income in retirement. Call 800-791-3232. That's 800-791-3232. Employees of J.D. Melberg Financial have the appropriate licenses for the products they offer.
From Fred Phelps to the Kinsey Six, the best of the best from Central Kansas and beyond. We do it all. We are KJAG Radio and the Jiggy Jaguar Radio Show. Log on to JiggyJaguar.com and KJagRadio.com for more.
Big time new sponsor here on Transmedia Worldwide. Absolutely amazing. Check out CEClubs.com. That's right, Corporate Executive Club. It's an employment recruiting firm that specializes in putting the best talent with employers. Find them on Facebook at facebook.com/CEClubs or Instagram, CEClubs. Check it out today.
A bare wall doesn't qualify as art, but a movie poster does. The place to get a movie poster to decorate your wall is JustMoviePosters.com. JustMoviePosters.com have posters for dramas, romantic comedies, blockbusters, and more. Most items at JustMoviePosters.com are priced between $7 to $15 plus shipping. Go to www.JustMoviePosters.com to find the movie poster of your dreams today. That's www.justmovieposters.com.
We have got a great guest we're going to be getting to here in just a few moments. J.B. Yadi is going to be with us.
This call is now being recorded.
Hi, James. How are you today?
Good morning, Tricia. How are you, my friend?
I'm well. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, Tricia, what do you have for us today? You've always got some really great things.
Oh, my goodness, James. I have got the best last-minute tech gift ideas for you today. Whether you're planning an all-day trail ride, maybe working on a tough job site, or juggling a phone with groceries and kids in hand, Kyocera's DuraSport 5G on Verizon is a smartphone that will handle it all. It's a rugged but slim Android smartphone built to military-grade specs. so it's tested to withstand drops of up to 5 feet onto concrete, and I know I have been guilty of a few drops in my time. It's also waterproof to a depth of 6.5 feet for up to 30 minutes. So not just splashing in a puddle, but I mean actually like going swimming with this thing, you'd be fine. It has an expansive 6.1-inch Gorilla Glass 6 scratch-resistant display. It's dust-proof and resistant to extreme temperatures, shock, and much more. I mean, this thing is fit for work, play, and pretty much every adventure you can throw at it. Now, I'll tell you, as a gamer, I always need more storage. The Samsung 980 Pro with heatsink solid-state drive enables gamers to expand storage on their consoles easily and comes ready for installation in Sony's PlayStation 5. The drive boasts lightning-fast upload speeds for very fast game launches, and it allows users to play games for hours without any performance degradation. Now, for laptop and PC gamers, I'm a PC gamer myself, they can achieve the same great gaming performance with the standard 980 Pro without the heatsink. Next up, I've got a great gift for the whole family. The Acer Chromebook Spin 311 is a convertible Chromebook that's super versatile thanks to the 360-degree hinges, but no matter what mode it's being used in, laptop, tablet, tent, etc., scrolling and swiping is super enjoyable on the responsive 11.6-inch touchscreen display, which is super high-end. It's made of antimicrobial Corning Gorilla Glass. Very, very premium feature. It has a built-in high-definition webcam with a wide-angle field of view, so it's great for whole family video chats or when the kids are joining school remotely or for a video conference for work. Now, speaking of work, with all the Zoom meetings in our lives now, a great headset is on everybody's list. The Anker PowerConf H700 headset features AI-powered noise reduction, powered by Voice Shield technology and active noise cancellation, ensuring crystal clear voice and no interruptions when making calls from anywhere. It's also the world's first wireless conference headset integrated with both meeting recording and a transcription feature. I remember back in the day having to transcribe by hand. No longer. It also has a charging stand, so you can get 24 hours of talk time from a single charge, but if you forget, no worries. You can charge for just 5 minutes for a 3-hour boost. So these are just some of my favorite last-minute tech gift ideas that are right in that beautiful, perfect gifting price point for all of those on the nice list this year. And if you want more information on any of these, you can visit dailylounge.com.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate the time, and happy holidays.
I appreciate you having me. Happy holidays to you as well.
Big time new sponsor here on Transmedia Worldwide. Absolutely amazing. Check out CEClubs.com. That's right, Corporate Executive Club. It's an employment recruiting firm that specializes in putting the best talent with employers. Find them on Facebook at facebook.com/CEClubs or Instagram, CEClubs. Check it out today.
Are you getting the most out of your Medicare plan? Are you sure? You'll want to write down a very important phone number that can assure you're receiving your full benefits. Many people with Medicare are eligible for plans that include extra benefits, in addition to those found in original Medicare. Benefits like dental, vision, and prescription drug coverage. Call now at 1-800-521-7617 to see if you're eligible to enroll. The consultation is free, and there's no obligation to enroll. In addition to hospital and medical coverage at no extra cost, you can also get coverage for prescription drugs, dental, hearing, vision, and more. In many areas, plans with benefits are available with $0 copays for many services, $0 monthly premiums, or $0 deductibles. That's hospital, medical, prescription drug, dental coverage, and more included in one plan with premiums that may be as low as $0 a month. Call now to see if you're eligible to enroll. The consultation is free and there's no obligation to enroll. Call 1-800-521-7617. That's 1-800-521-7617.
Jiggy Jaguar.
Neil Bort's with us today.
If they put Fox News on, liberals will complain. If they put CNN on, conservatives are going to complain.
Jiggy Jaguar.
We've got Tom Donahue with us today. I started to organize, no, not like Obama.
Jiggy Jaguar.
Publisher of Talkers Magazine, Michael Harrison.
And it's a lot of fun, and it's very informative, and it does a lot of things. One, it's
www.jiggyjaguar.com.
Attention Medicare beneficiaries. Are you getting all the benefits you need? If you have Medicare, you may now be able to get new benefits. Benefits may include eyeglasses, wellness visits, gym membership, meal delivery, and hearing aids with low copay. To find out which benefits you qualify for and to find out if you're getting the benefits that you deserve, you need to call Best Medcare. Our licensed insurance agents can look up your current benefits and tell you what additional benefits are available to you. It's easy, just one call. Tell us the deductibles you prefer, the doctors you want to see, and if you want prescription drug coverage. The service is free and you have no obligation. You may even find plans with 0 monthly plan premiums, 0 copays on many services, and 0 deductibles. You deserve every medical care coverage benefit out there and we'll help you get them. Call 800-991-7014. 800-991-7014. That's 800-991-7014. And let Best Medcare do the work for you.
That commercial break snuck up on me fast. It is the world famous Jiggy Jaguar Radio broadcast. We are live. I got to adjust the microphone. I've got to adjust the microphone. So, we are going to do this. We are going to try to get a hold of everybody early here on our big program, and we are going to see if we can make something happen with everybody early. Early, as they say. So, we are going to go... we're going to hope that this is Jeffrey Kimes. I don't know if this is Jeffrey Kimes or not. So we are going to do this. Let's do this. Let's go to Jeffrey Kimes. We've got a Skype link. So I'm going to see if this Skype link will let me in. And, I've got 4 other people in here. So let's see. I don't know. Jeffrey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Look at that.
Is that you there? Can you hear me?
Can hear me? See me? We are doing good, baby.
All right. One thing, I've been having a little bit of difficulty with the internet. I think it's because of the winds. But
hey,
right
I'll tell you, yesterday, Colorado and the state of Kansas. So,
where are you located?
I am in, of all places, Hutchinson, Kansas.
Great. I love Kansas.
So we are, it was like 70-mile-an-hour winds yesterday. Which is funny because I went to Vegas a few years ago, the porn convention out there, and we had a weather podcast the night before, and they said, you might want to be careful tomorrow on highways in Las Vegas. They might 5-mile-an-hour winds. Every 70 yesterday is nothing compared to what they were facing out there at one time. But let me get everything set up here, and we will run in for the show. So
I'm right here.
We are back live here on our big broadcast. Thanks for tuning in to the world famous Jiggy Jaguar program. We are live video at JiggyJaguar.com. Of course, the KJAG Radio Studios in downtown Hutchinson, Kansas. We live each and every day, Monday through Friday, 2 Central, 3 Eastern, 12 Pacific, and 1 Mountain Standard. And, of course, we're 24/7 at JiggyJaguar.com apps. And, of course, our own app is available in both the app stores and on-demand podcasts or the iHeartRadio app. We are on 50 FM stations across the country and around the world, including KFRK in Denver as well. And you can find the video cross-posted to Rumble. And, of course, we are broadcasting on the Roku via the AM/FM 27 every week. And we have got a great guest today. We also have our good friend Don Mazzella, who is joining us from... are you back early, Don? Is that where you're at?
Oh, no. Actually, we're in Pennsylvania now.
Look at that.
That's another story.
That's another story. You're Larry Tracy country. I think he lives out in that area as well. So we have got a guest with us today, and this book is getting a lot of press, and it's getting a lot of coverage. And we've got Crames with us today. He has a book that is kind of controversial in some aspects because of the title, but I love the title. It's called The Joe Biden Way. And Jeffrey joins us here on our big program. And Jeffrey, one of the things that I have noticed about your book, just flipping through your book and experiencing your book, is that this is more of a business book than a political book. Did you write it, or how did you get details on this?
Well, I've been my background.
Yes.
I have 40 years of experience in business book publishing, and for most of those years, I worked for companies like McGraw-Hill and Prentice Hall, Random House. For the last 20 years, I've written leadership books, now about 10 now. One of the first leadership books that involved politics, the only other one, was The Rumsfeld Way, which I wrote in 2002, a year before we went into Iraq. And after we had gone into Afghanistan, actually 2001, October, is when we had that. And that's when I started writing that book. And yes, it's written as a leadership book. It's basically the leadership lessons that people can learn from Joe Biden, and of course, it does help if people are open-minded to Mr. Biden and his policies and his agenda and his experience.
Well, the thing that I find so strange, and it's not about this book, it's more or less about the way Joe is doing things nowadays. When one of the biggest complaints that people had with Donald Trump, there was a lot of things, and I had a lot of problems with Donald Trump, and Don does as well. But one of the things that everybody wondered how Trump was going to be able to govern, because he didn't have any dirt on anybody. He didn't have any political experience. So he wasn't able to get a lot of things done by, basically pulling some strings. And the thing that I've always wondered about with Joe Biden, especially now that, we've gone, I think, almost a year with him being the president or more, he should have been able to get all sorts of things done because he's been there since the 80s in Washington. And he's got all this dirt on all of these people. And I would have thought that a lot of his agenda he would have been able to get done. But for whatever reason or another, he has let some guy from West Virginia run the show here. This is amazing. Jeffrey, tell me and Don a little bit about how you view all this and how you present this in your book.
Well, first of all, I think that Joe Biden has really gotten the short end of the stick when it comes to the media, because let's look at what he got done. When he took office, there were only 50,000 shots in arms, and of course the vaccine was new and developed by the previous administration, by the Trump administration. But since then, he's gotten 500 million with a B shots in arms, and it's very frustrating to him, I think, that we can't get the last 60 million people vaccinated or boosted, obviously. And then when it comes time for his economic agenda, the first thing he did, and I have it step by step in the Joe Biden way, is he got the $1.9 trillion package passed, the COVID relief package, and then he got the $1.2 trillion infrastructure package passed with Republicans like Mitch McConnell. He got 69 votes in the Senate. So he's gotten over $3.1 trillion of spending for the lower and middle classes and people of color. But your point about the senator from West Virginia, Mr. Manchin, that's a real problem now. For the last piece, he basically packed all of his domestic agenda into 3 pieces of legislation. He got 2 out of 3 passed. The third one passed, but now is stuck in the Senate because of the senator you have mentioned.
Yeah.
However, the latest news as of just a few hours ago is the Democrats are trying to treat the child tax credits separately, take it out of the bill, because that's Manchin's greatest problem with the bill, and see if they might be able to work with that on a separate basis.
Now, Don, listening to all this, you have covered presidents. You've been to Vietnam. You've covered all sorts of things. What type of leadership questions and everything do you have for Jeffrey here? Because this is quite the book.
Oh, I wish I'd gotten it beforehand, Jeffrey.
That's all right.
I will say, I listened to that, to what you just said, and it's very interesting. I merely point out that more people died in the last year in America from COVID than in the Trump years. That's number one. Number two, Biden couldn't have passed all this without Republican help. Okay, because.
Right.
But I'm gonna back off here and let, since you're the guest, and really people are tired of hearing from me. My only statement I'm going to make is most politicians in Washington today have never met a payroll, and they don't understand it. And you're coming up here and telling us that we as business people should follow their lead when they haven't balanced the budget in what, 50 years, in true form.
Yeah.
And the only way they're succeeding today is by printing money. But I'm going to back off now and say, what are the three principles you got from the book that Biden is doing that we as business people should learn?
Oh, that's a great question. First of all, I do distinguish, and I studied under people like Jack Welch of GE, who I interviewed at length for the books I've written about. I wrote 3 books on Jack Welch, and then the father of modern management, Peter Drucker.
I studied under Drucker.
Okay, great. So Peter Drucker, one of the things he told me, I was the last person to interview Dr. Drucker at his home in 2003, 2 years prior to his death. I had a 2-day interview with him. One of the things he told me is that the greatest, and I make the distinction that this is not necessarily a business book, but it's a leadership book. And a leadership is sort of its own category within the business book category. And so you talk about 3 traits that we should follow. One, because Mr. Biden lost his wife and his daughter in 1972 around Christmas, so almost 50 years ago, he certainly knows of tragedy, and he certainly has been the empathizer in chief. And in a nation that is so divided, with so much racial strife, with so much of a schism between Republicans and Democrats, his call for unity and putting together the most diverse cabinet in the history of America, that's another trait to follow. And then Peter Drucker taught me, which Joe Biden sort of followed naturally, is you should really focus on one priority. Peter Drucker told me he never met a chief executive officer who can handle more than one priority at a time. Now, of course, a president has to handle many things at a time, but when he came in, he knew that he was going to be judged by how he handled COVID. And you're right, people are dying. And right now, we don't need that. I mean, it's preventable now with these amazing vaccines. So your point's well taken about that. But the empathetic president, who's also been completely realistic and bold. The boldness you could see in his legislation, because 3 bills over $5 trillion, should he get this third one passed, that would be monumental. That would be the biggest increase in our social safety net since the 1935 passing of the FDR's Social Security Act. So he has...
excuse me, that's assuming that we need a social net.
Right. Well...
okay, I want to stop right there, because if you look at the polls and the data, they say right here, a lot of people are against that. How are you bringing the nation together when you have almost 50% of the nation saying this bill and this direction is wrong?
Well, no matter what you bring to the legislature, 50% is going to hate it. If you look at the GOP, I find, behind me I have actually writings of a little bit of writing of Abraham Lincoln, the first Republican. If you look at the Republicans today, I have a hard time understanding what they stand for other than their allegiance to Donald Trump. That seems to be the litmus test.
Well, I hope they stand for more. But let's look at that for totally lost my thought. I'm sorry, Jeffrey. Okay. I'm a member of the media, and I'll go on to the second thing. You think the media has been hard on President Biden?
I do think
compared to Trump.
Actually, there has been a study in the last 4 months. I talk about how President Biden really botched the exit from Afghanistan. But he was only the president. He was only president for 3% of the time that we were in Afghanistan. So the decision to pull out the troops was not necessarily a bad one, but the decision to
go against your military staff, your own defense chief, and everybody else, and do it, seemed to me the work of a man who wasn't there mentally.
Well, nope. Did we lose him? I know he's been having some... I don't know if you've had this out there where you're at, Don, but we have had wind for the last 2 or 3 days. It's like 80-mile-an-hour winds. And I know when I first connected with him, he was having some issues there. He will probably get back with us here.
It's my fault, because I'm listening to him and I'm getting very irritated.
No. You're good. You're good.
No, I'm not, because I mean, when he says that the media has been soft on Biden, all he has to do.
I kind of have a hard time with that. I have a hard time with that as well.
I'm sorry. I'll apologize beforehand for whatever I'm about to say.
I'm sorry.
There he is.
Hey, Don, I lost you for a moment. So go on.
I'm back, and show's big.
You guys switched places. It's fantastic. He's a magician. You guys are changing the places. Anything to mess me up. You'll say, kill that author. We don't want him getting out his point. I'm only kidding. But you guys, I got to tell you, you guys are great interviewers. And Don's from this undisclosed location. I mean, I don't think the Bush administration after 9/11 had an undisclosed location as good as yours, Don.
Hey, I'll tell you, Don is in the middle of nowhere, literally nowhere, and he is fantastic.
I'll tell you, no one's going to get to him. No mafia can get
if our other associate IQ was on, then you'd really have it.
That's right. That's right.
Jeffrey, first, I'm going to apologize before we begin, because it's evident that you and I really look at this world very opposite sides. But before we do, did you work at McGraw-Hill? Because I was at McGraw-Hill.
I worked at McGraw-Hill for over 20 years. Yes, sir.
In the book division or the magazines?
No, the book division, the business book division. Again, 40 years. This is my 40th year. 2/3 of my life were spent in book divisions, and McGraw-Hill was about half of the 40 years I spent there. I was the publisher of the business book division in 3 offices across the country.
You know as well as I do, once a McGraw-Hiller, always a McGraw-Hiller.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. McGraw-Hill is great. And John Wiley, who published my book, they've been around since 1807. They're fabulous. Fantastic publisher.
So let's go on. You're the guest, so I would much rather that you talk and tell us more of what we can learn from the Biden book.
Well, that's a great question. You know, I talk a lot about experience in the book, and I tried to bring in other voices, people like Malcolm Gladwell, who wrote Outliers, and who sort of using research from 1993 proves that it takes about 10,000 hours of deliberate practice to be great at anything. So let's look at Biden. Biden was in the Senate for 36 years. But as Jiggy pointed out, we're having a hard time with the senator. But that aside, 36 years as a senator, 8 years as a vice president. He is the most experienced president we have had in history. And he's the most experienced president to follow the least experienced president, and not just his direct predecessor, but if you look at his 3 predecessors, George Bush, Barack Obama, and Donald Trump, double their experience times 2, and you still don't have the experience of a Joe Biden. Now, you might say, well, experience is one thing, judgment's another. That's true. But let's look at one other factor. I studied very specifically vice presidents, people who served as vice presidents who became president. Before Joe Biden, there were 45 presidents. Exactly 1/3, 15 out of 45, were vice presidents first. We're talking about everyone from John Adams. We're talking about half of Mount Rushmore with Thomas Jefferson and Teddy Roosevelt. So his experience, and what we're finding is that especially in the modern era, since Cheney and Bush, the vice presidency has become far more muscular. And before he became president, Joe Biden exacted a promise from Barack Obama that he was going to be the last person in the room before Barack Obama made any really important decisions. And they kept to that. So I think the experience is very important, even though in America we have a tendency to vote for the person who has less experience, but that doesn't make sense in the most complex and important job on the planet.
Well, let me ask you a question. What do you think of Kamala Harris?
Well, she's been getting awful press, and I think she's sort of, Biden likes to have her near because I think he really wants to be a mentor to her. I think she's very bright. Of course, she's a first, and Joe Biden, when he delivered his State of the Union address, was the first president in history who could say, Madam Speaker, Madam Vice President. So Joe Biden's been a lot about firsts. It's the most female-dominated cabinet in history, and the most people of color, the most diversity that we have seen in any cabinet, including Barack Obama's. I think Kamala Harris will learn as she takes on more responsibilities in the administration.
Well, I just had a conversation with somebody who's very close to her day-to-day operation, and the stories that have come out about the fact that she simply will not take a look at policy briefs or anything else make me wonder. You can mentor someone if they want to be mentored, but if you have someone like Kamala, I won't even dignify it. To me, it's a worrisome. But and yet you're saying that he wants her close. Yet why in most major decisions is she not there?
Well, I didn't study Kamala as closely as I studied, obviously, Joe Biden, and it is President Biden who is making all the key decisions. But again, 10 months does not a complete presidency make, obviously. So, I mean, I think the criticism is founded in some regards, but I still believe that Joe Biden knew what he was doing when he selected her. I still believe it.
Okay.
And I still believe in her, but I believe that she's going to require more time. I mean, the scrutiny, she was, of course, a senator for, 7-8 years, but the scrutiny that comes with the Oval Office and the vice presidency is something that no one could be prepared for, except somebody who has been vice president, somebody who has been in the Senate for that long. So Biden's been prepared, and I believe he does want to mentor her and see her develop. So let's wait and see before we make a final decision about whether or not she could be effective, because I think she can.
Okay, of course, today the odds are 8-5 that Biden will not survive the first term in Washington.
Well, boy, I certainly don't want to get into a betting game like that. I mean,
this person that I talked to today, they're really worried. Jeffrey, I'm giving you what I'm hearing. I'm not seeing it firsthand, but I'm hearing a lot. But let me ask you. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Ask me. No, you ask me. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I guess my next question is, who is calling the shots at the White House, in your opinion? Because if for a man who's supposed to know Washington, for instance, the Board of Education letter from Judge Garland has got to be one of the stupidest political ploys I've seen it in almost 50 years of covering Washington. I mean, it was stupid, and it originated in the White House. So tell me, how's that smart, Biden?
Well, listen, I'm sort of looking at this more from a 30,000 feet street level, and then I do dive into the decisions he makes. I think Biden is calling the shots. I think he's in control. He has exhibited, to get that first $1.9 trillion passed. He asked for the $1.9 trillion for the COVID relief package. He got it, and it was almost foiled at the last minute by the same senator that we've been talking about, but he got it done. Yes. And then they said bipartisanship is dead, and then he got the $1.2 trillion, the most ever spent on infrastructure. When Obama got a $787 billion bill passed to fix what was ailing the economy due to the Great Recession in 2009, he was widely criticized. This was way too much money. And now you have Joe Biden here getting trillions passed, helping people who are who normally are not helped by the American government, because since Reagan, we've had more Republican presidents than Democrat presidents. Republicans tend to favor corporations and the wealthier, and people like Joe Biden and Democrats are trying, and Nancy Pelosi, who I'm sure you could probably tear. I don't want to go there. I didn't write the Pelosi way, but I think Nancy Pelosi was the only one that stood up to Trump. But in any event, I just think that we have an administration that, at least in their intent, and we're a nation of laws, intent is behind so many of our laws, and we have a president who I think really does want to help people who have always gotten the short end of the stick.
Yes. Yet if you look at the bill that he wants to pass, most of the benefits go to the wealthy. For instance, just the tax deduction. The one that benefits most from expanding the tax deduction are upper class, not the lower class. If you look at the bill, as I have, you sit there and say, my God, you just mouthed the Democratic line. Yet if you look at the bill, most of the benefits go to the wealthy, not the under, outside of the free tuition, which won't happen, and the child care. I mean, what you just said doesn't track with the bill. If you read the bill.
Well, let me tell you something from a personal basis. I'm just a modest writer, so I'm no millionaire.
Then you should have come on this show.
No, because I gotta tell you, today I got a $500 in my checking account from Mr. Biden, and I have every month, most of this year because of him. I have the most expensive Obamacare health care that you could purchase, and the cost of it went down 30% under Biden because he's helping with the subsidies. So you might say one thing, but I'm telling you, I'm living a different life. I'm living the life of a poor man, and he's helping me.
Okay, well
I want to have the Jiggy Jaguar money. What you got to do is get a Brinks truck, back it up to the Jiggy Jaguar show, and I'll tell you something. In 50 markets, you're going to have $50 million.
That's right.
I want the Jiggy Jaguar money.
Well, I can give you, if you want to get...
Great.
Unfortunately, I'm the lower class. I'm certainly not in your class, and I don't have... all I have is Medicare, and I don't have $500 a month coming into me.
Well, I have two kids. I have two teenage sons. That's why. Twin sons. Yeah, that's why I get that.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah, but I think I'm. Listen, I think I'm in the same class as you are, sir. I think but if we ever get together, I'm buying all the drinks for both of you.
Well, yeah.
Because my kids.
You're
can't
in luck
stop-
because I don't drink.
Oh no! Come on, Jiggy. My kids talk about Jiggy Jaguar every time they come over. I don't know why. They've never met you, but when I told them I was going to meet Jiggy, they were like, "Get his autograph." I said, Skype. How do you get the autograph when you're doing Skype? For God's sake! You guys are the toughest audience I've had so far in my entire book tour. This is the hardest interview.
Well, I'll tell you, you have written quite the book here, and I will have to say that you have put as far as details and everything in this book. This is a fantastic read, and you should be very proud of what you've done here, my friend.
We'll get you copies. I'll get my publicist. Believe me, we'll get you copies. But listen, I should run now because after Jiggy Jaguar just said that the Joe Biden Way is such a great book, let's end there. I don't want to go on more. You guys will kill me.
No problem.
But have me back once a week. I love this place. I love the Jiggy Jaguar show with this hidden gentleman over there who's underneath the Capitol Dome, probably in D.C. That's phenomenal, man. So anyway, I have a
bad problem with my
yeah, we're all having problems today, but listen.
I love it, Jeffrey. You're great, brother.
Jiggy, you have me. Promise me you'll have me back.
I will definitely do it because you are great, brother. I am definitely looking forward to chatting with you soon. Thank you, Jeffrey.
Okay, I gotta tell you, this is the most fun I've ever. It's the hardest and the most fun at the same time. I'm gonna go have a drink.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Thanks, you guys.
Appreciate it. There he goes. That is Jeffrey Crimes. He is great. We are going to do this. We are going to take a brief time out, and when we come back, we will have our next guest. Scott Shea is going to join us here in just a few moments. We got to take a brief time out. Don, I'm going to put you on a brief hold on Skype, and I will be right back with you. And we are taking a brief time out, coming back with more on the other side.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private Healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready, and health insurance is your financial safety net. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, give us a call at 800-913-8914. That's 800-913-8914. 800-913-8914.
Now that we're home more than ever, we need to feel safe. Call it a sign of the times or the world we now.
Okay, we are going to go back to Don Mazzella. He is going to join us here in our big program. And quick little programming note, and I don't know if, Don, I don't know if you know this or not, but apparently IQ Al Rizzoli is coming to the United States over Christmas break.
Well, he sent me a Christmas greeting, but he didn't tell me he was coming to the States.
He apparently is coming to the United States, and he is looking for property, and apparently, from what he told me and Dan on Tuesday, he is going to be moving to, of all places, Long Island. And I'm like, oh, that is just that.
Shay.
Scott, how are you, sir?
Hi, how are you?
Pretty good, actually. We have got our next guest joining us here on the telephone. Scott Shea is with us. He is the author of a brand new book, Conspiracy U, a Case Study. Shea is a co-founder and chairman of Signature Bank. His essays have appeared in the Wall Street Journal, the New York Daily News, Bloomberg, The Hill, Jewish Week, among others. And Conspiracy U exposes how conspiracy theories drawn from far right and far left ideologies masquerade as scholarship at many universities, endangering our norms and conceptions of morality and truth. And Scott Shea joins me and the great Don Mazzella on the telephone. Scott, tell me and Don here a little bit about why you decided to write Conspiracy U. Tell us all about it.
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you on your show and having me on the network. I really appreciate that.
Yes. This is definitely a great book, my man.
Like, are you going to give us...
so here's the thing.
Make us live so we can see each other?
He's on the phone. He's on the phone, Don. We don't have him on Skype, but go ahead. Go ahead, Scott.
Sorry, didn't mean...
No problem.
Not a problem. Scott, tell us about this book.
Yes, so let me tell you about this book. So I'm the child of the only child of a Holocaust survivor, and there is a professor. So the reason I spent all my free time for 20 months writing this book is that there are professors that are teaching conspiracy theories about Jews, about the Holocaust, about Israel, that they're masquerading as scholarship. And there's a professor at Northwestern University, Arthur Butts, who tenured professor of electrical engineering, who wrote a book called The Hoax of the 20th Century. And he basically says that this is all made up. Now, and when he's confronted, when the book has to confront, his book has to confront that there's tens of thousands of documents that document the the execution, the planning of the killing of the murder of 6 million-ish Jews. And there are plenty of witnesses, and there are plenty of Nazis of Germans that confessed, that said they were perpetrators, guards, witnesses, etc. And so this professor creates a conspiracy theory. And we can get through later the difference between a conspiracy theory and a theory about a conspiracy. But the thing about a conspiracy theory is it's not falsifiable. So he says that devious, moneyed, evil cabals of Jews planted documents all over Europe to make it seem like there was a Holocaust. And he says that the people that these dangerous, evil Jews bamboozled, to use his word, hapless, pure, innocent Nazis who would have never thought of committing a crime against humanity, to confess to crimes that they didn't commit. Now, here's the thing. That sounds nonsensical, but conspiracy theories are being taught at universities as though they are fact. And it's happening on the far right. Less so, there's less of that on the university and more on the dark web, but definitely on the far left as well. I've read books published by Stanford University Press, Duke University Press, some of the best presses, university publishers in the country, where you have to accept a conspiracy theory or a conspiracy theory about Jews in Israel in order to even understand what they're talking about. And I just have one more thing, because this is what really is a serious problem. Is universities used to teach critical thinking. And now folks at universities can't even recognize conspiracy theories. And you can have a theory about a conspiracy. Like, let's take, for example, that maybe the Wuhan virology lab accidentally or purposely, whatever, released the COVID virus. Well, you gather facts, and you either decide it's more likely that it happened, it's not likely that it happened, or you just don't know enough. But a conspiracy theory, again, expands around facts, and people think that they have some sort of secret knowledge, and it's non-falsifiable. And in my research, I show how these conspiracy theories are more than 90% used. They're politically motivated to get people to stop thinking and to just get on a certain track. And that's happening at universities, and what happens at campus doesn't stay on campus, and it's threatening our society.
Amen. You couldn't be more correct.
Yeah.
You know, one of the most frightening movies I've ever seen is the Swansea Conference. Are you aware? Yeah. You're aware of it, I'm sure.
The Wannsee Conference is one of those in 1942 that talked about the final solutions. That's one of the things that Arthur Butts said was totally made up by these evil Jews. Totally made up.
If you ever want to see a truly frightening movie, and if I'm not mistaken, it was created in Germany. It's in German, if I recall correctly. But all I can remember is talking with two or three of my friends in New York about it. It's frightening. You know, you couldn't be any more right about what you've just said. Unlike our previous guest, I couldn't agree with you more. That's just a private. But, you know, having stated the problem, what's the solution?
Well, first of all, let me just say this, because I think it's an important point when you're talking about the Wannsee Conference. 8 out of 14 participants in the Wannsee Conference had doctorates. So smart people having smart people try to figure this out isn't a solution. The universities are populated by very, very smart people, but people like Arthur Butts, who I just mentioned, and people like Stephen Thrasher, who are really, really smart in one area. When it comes to conspiracy theories, they get sucked in. And so I have a number of suggestions in the book. I think, unfortunately, it's a way uphill battle, because the problem is we have to start returning to the primacy of facts. People in our society, and and more importantly, people on campus, people, our academics, no longer put facts first. It used to be you had a theory, and then people would throw hard and sharp objects at the theory. And if the theory still stood, it could survive another day. But now, one academic I talked to said she doesn't like facts. She prefers theory because theory is pure and facts are messy. And time and again, I'm serious. And that's why 70% of the psychology experiments that have been done are non-replicable. Most social science experiments are non-replicable. And 61% had no results. And in economics, when they did experiments, they were overstated 4-1. So people get in academia, they get so fond of their theories that they actually end up manipulating the facts, and that can lead us to a whole bunch of bad places. So I think we have to get back to a very fact-based university. We have to get to the point where every study, because you can read, you read one study one day and another study the next day that say the opposite things, where every study has to be challenged by another group of academics who don't necessarily have the same outlook. And then if they agree, then it gets published. I mean, how many times have we been told to eat the opposite thing? Eggs are good one day, bad the next day, maybe good the other day, maybe the whites the next day, maybe the egg yolks the next day. It's a serious problem. And what's even more disturbing to me is that more education now is leading people to be more prejudiced. So there was a study by 3 professors that I looked at carefully because I wanted to make sure it wasn't problematic. Drs. Jay Green, Alan Cheng, and Ian Kingsbury, and they asked parallel questions about Jews and other ethnic groups. For example, should the military prohibit a Jewish yarmulke, or a parallel question, a Sikh turban? The dual loyalty question, Mexico or Israel? Should on Sabbath observance, Seventh-day Adventist Jews? And they found that of the 7 questions like that people with college degrees were 5 percentage points more likely to apply a principle more harshly to Jews than non-Jews. But among those with advanced degrees, master's degrees and doctorates, they were 15 percentage points more unfavorable toward Jews than non-Jews. So education and what's going on campus is no longer the answer. What's going to have to be is going back to facts, and also realizing that academics, they're not necessarily smarter than the rest of us.
Wow. I couldn't agree with you more. You're talking sense, but again, I asked the question: how do you go about changing all this? If our intellectuals, who are supposed to be the people who lead the nation, are like this, well, what's the cure?
Well, so I suggest 3 cures, but I don't think any of them are quick. I just want to be upfront. I think we're in a bad place. One cure is, as I say, having all theories double-checked. Somebody else has to, with a diverse view, has to verify them. Second, I think everyone who goes to college should be, in every graduate school as an additional requirement, should be required to take a course in how evidence, how theories are built, and how scholars in history have lied, misled, and falsified in the name of ideology or in personal glory. I think we have to start teaching ethics. My third suggestion is that universities stop being able to take money from foreign countries. I mean, Qatar alone donates more than $200 million per year to U.S. universities. But yet it's a primary supporter, let's say, of the Hamas regime, which is sworn to to expel and murder all Jews from the river to the sea. If someone else was saying, well, I'm supporting Aryan nations or the Tamil Tigers, its funds would be questions. But yet universities take money from all sorts of people with all sorts of agendas. And I think we have to focus on those three things. Plus, people have to realize that they're subsidizing this craziness if they're taxpayers. I mean, there's professors at some public universities that I show, which are teaching things that are absolutely insane, conspiracy theories, and yet our taxpayer dollars are subsidizing that. And so non-academics have to get involved. It's not going to be solved by academia itself, because the professors appoint their own successors, and they decide who's going to have tenure. So this is not an easy job. The first thing I'm trying to do with this book, with Conspiracy U, is to raise awareness so that people can send this to their legislators and send this to their students who are going to college, so they recognize when they're being indoctrinated and being taught what to think versus how to think.
Well, let me ask you this question. You know, when I was growing up and working in the first beginning of the media, there was a great pushback because there were a lot of Jews in media and in the academic world taking away positions from non-Jews. I don't know how old you are, but I'm old enough to remember those days. I remember one time when NBC, over the week, over the Jewish holidays, a major story broke, and it turned out that 11 of the 12 top officials at NBC were Jewish and were unavailable because I think it was Rosh Hashanah, and no decision could be made. I remember that as clear as day. But is this perhaps a reaction to the jealousies of that time?
Well, look, first of all, there's the old canard that the Jews control the media, and if there were ever a disproportionate number of Jews in the media, that's sort of not as much, certainly nowhere near the case anymore. I mean, there are a lot of people in all sorts of different professions. I mean, I can tell you some professions where there are a lot of Irish folks and a lot of Italian folks, and so that's a little bit of a canard. Again, that I think people traffic in. There's a lot of diversity in the media, and certainly the media is not pro-Israel, or that's for sure.
It used to be. When I grew up, I mean, I always remember Irving R. Levine covered the Vatican, but a non-Jew could not cover Israel.
Actually, the New York Times had the opposite policy. It was extremely controversial there when they sent the first Jewish person to cover Israel. They had the opposite policy where Jews essentially couldn't cover Israel. And the New York Times actually had fascists. I mean, they have a lot of problems, and they had a lot of problems in some of their historically. Now, of course, they're completely progressive.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I should tell you, I worked out of the Tel Aviv office of the New York Times, so in those days. So anyway,
who was the bureau chief when you were there?
What?
Who was the bureau chief when you were there?
I'm trying to remember his name. I can picture him in front of me. But you know how you know you're getting old? When you start to forget things? And with me, it's getting bad.
Well, you're getting wise.
I wish I were. But it doesn't take away from what you're saying. You couldn't agree more with what you're saying. You certainly put it in the right way. But what do you deal with, like with AOC? Who comes out and says things that when our leaders are saying the Holocaust didn't exist, and you have a member of Congress say it,
well, look, you have on the far right and the far left, you have people saying really crazy things. And again, unfortunately, they tend to revolve around conspiracy theories about Jews. So you had, Congressman Green, who said that
the Jewish space
lasers were
lasers
being caused by Jewish space lasers.
Yes.
And then, of course, you had on the far left, you had a politician from Washington D.C., one of the city councilmen, saying that climate change was caused by satellites from the Rothschilds. That was Trayvon White. And so you have all sorts of, what I find in the book and what I think is amazing is that when I really dug down, I found that the right and the left, on the far right and the far left, when it came to Israel and the Jews, said similar things. So I gave you the example of Professor Arthur Butts. Now I'll give you the example of Professor Stephen Saleta, who's on the far left. He says, the Nazi Holocaust in Europe seems a direct antecedent to Israel's founding. There were plans from the outset of Zionism to rid the Promised Land of its indigenous population. So he says, basically, again, blames the Holocaust on the Jews. And then it goes on to, explain that this is all a plot to dispossess the Palestinians. So he has a multi-generational conspiracy theory that is just ridiculous. But this is another book. I think it was published by Duke University Press. He wrote this when he was an academic. He was a professor at the University of Illinois at Champaign-Urbana. So you get at the core, what's amazing is this unanimity that somehow Jews in Israel are evil. And it's growing. Look, 11% of Americans under 40 think the Jews caused the Holocaust, and 15% think the Holocaust was a myth or was greatly exaggerated.
Yes.
That is so shocking to me. As a son of a Holocaust survivor, my closest relative on my father's side is a second cousin once removed. Everybody was wiped out. My father's father, his aunts, his uncles, his cousins. Everybody. His mother died in childbirth prior to the war, but everybody was wiped out. And yet now, within not quite most Holocaust survivors are dying out, but in that same span of history, people are denying history. It's when that happens, it's a bad sign for society, and that's why I wrote the book. I mean, that's why I have a busy day job, but this is super duper important. If we have a society that buys into these sorts of conspiracy theories, and again, I do chapter and verse of what these theories are in my book, we are in deep doo-doo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Could not agree with you more. You've identified another strain in our society. But I always ask the people this question: having raised this issue, do you think it's reversible?
I hope so. But I think by starting to raise it, I'm hoping that I get other people involved too who can think of solutions. I spent a lot of time thinking about solutions. And at the end of the book, I offer the three that I mentioned before. But I have to tell you, it's a section of the book that I wrote and crossed out or deleted. I mean, I was using Word more than any other, because there's no magic bullet. But the thing that we need to do is to get more people involved in critical thinking, because when we're all taught what to think and not how to think, we're not thinking. When everybody's thinking the same thing, we're not thinking. When you're in a group or a mob and you're compelled to think a certain way, or you're outside of the in-group, you're not thinking. And more people are parking their brains at the door and trusting whatever movement they're involved in to tell them what they should believe is the truth. And as someone who I know I consider a friend said, the The real test of authenticity is being willing to piss off your friends and your co-journeyers, because truth is more complicated. Like that academic I was referring to. Truth is complicated. Truth is messy. Truth doesn't always agree with you, and each of us can be wrong. But when you get locked up in these ideologies and you convert everything into being non-falsifiable, then you lose the ability to have common ground with the other side. And that's what's happening in the United States, and that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, IQ wasn't here today, so now you scared. Now we have somebody else scaring me. Don't get it wrong. What you say is so true. When you listen to it, you know it's out there, but when you listen to it like you've encapsulated it, it becomes scary because.
I want to scare you into action. I want to scare you into action. That's why I'm doing it, because we need to act.
I'm sure you saw the movie Ship of Fools or read the book. And what is it? Evil triumphs when men of goodwill do nothing. And it's unfortunate a lot of our people are doing nothing.
Well, the opposite silence, and look, during the Holocaust and other times, the people who were silent ended up, aiding and abetting. Silence doesn't work.
Yes, it's interesting. When parents acted up, started going to school board meetings about the race theory. All of a sudden, the government came out with this letter saying about there were terrorists.
Yeah.
If you put that in the context of what you're saying and add that, it's a frightening period.
Well, we didn't have a time to talk about it, but in my book I cover critical theory. Critical race theory is actually a subset of critical theory, but it's about the same idea in a way of a conspiracy theory, in that you're not allowed, in critical theory, you're actually not allowed to dissent. Herbert Marcuse, one of the founders of critical theory, wrote an essay that's become the most influential essay on the far left, called Repressive Tolerance. And I talk about it a little bit in the book, where basically if you disagree with me, my tolerance is suppressing you. You didn't have the vocabulary, it's canceling you. It's making sure that you have no right to express yourself. That, in the view of critical theory, is tolerance. It's, again, the language is subverted. And academics, nobody's better than on subverting language than academics. And some of the stuff I read was actually impenetrable. So hard to understand. Just amazingly hard to understand what they're even talking about.
About half of all gibberish that comes out of academia you don't understand.
Yeah, it's a real problem. But I'm trying with my book to get that out and show people the biggest thing I do is that I think people have thanked me for is I give the actual quotes. So, people can talk to their legislators, people can talk to others, people can send this to their kids, because if you don't give the goods, if you don't have the goods, you're just waving your hands, and people dismiss you.
Well, Scott, this has definitely been a fantastic conversation. We have got Scott Shea with us today. Conspiracy U, a case study, is the latest from him. And as we wrap up...
How do you spell your last name?
Shay.
Okay.
And Conspiracy U is available on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble. It's part of the Simon & Schuster catalog, so it's available essentially anywhere where quality books are sold, and I'm doing a bit of a book tour right now. And I hope people read it, because, and even if you read it, I've divided it chapter by chapter so people can go to things that they're interested in if they don't want to read the whole book, although I strongly suggest starting from the beginning and reading to the end.
Well, as we wrap up with everybody, let's start with Don Mazzella. Don, how do we get in touch with you and bring us up to speed on everything?
Well, website 2SB Digest, hashtag 2SB Digest. I'm so wrapped up in the Robotics Foundation, the-nref.org. That's the thing. And Ginny, at the beginning of next year, I'll have my book.
Fantastic. Well, Scott, before we let you go, how do we get in touch with you on the web and everything?
Well, I'm at scottshay.com, SHAY.com, and scottshay.com, and again, people can get the book just by Googling Conspiracy U, like the university, a case study, and I really hope people look at the book and they can communicate with me through the website.
Fantastic. Well, Scott, I really appreciate you making time for me and Don today. And Don, we will be off the next 2 weeks because of Christmas, but I will be back in touch with you at the beginning of the year, my friends. So
you got it. Have a great day, Jiggy.
Definitely.
And have a great holiday, both of you.
Thank you, Scott.
All good things to you.
Thank you, Don. Appreciate it, gentlemen. There they go. That is Scott Shay and Don Mazzella, and that wraps it up here from our big program.